All right, what's happening, good people? How you doing? Welcome to another live show here. I hope you're hanging in there with all the orchestration and tension and civil war, everything that's going on out there. My sound should come in here in a second. That'll confirm that the show is off. It is off, man. Welcome to the show. Waiting for TM. It's going to be a bit late, so I figured I wouldn't keep people waiting. I'd just kick off the show and keep you all company while we wait for TM to join in. He should be here in a few minutes or so, maybe 5 or 10 minutes at most, hopefully. Anyways, so much has been going on. It's pretty overwhelming to try to deal with everything. I mean, it really is. I've never seen anything like this, of course. I mean, I don't think, and none of us have. I mean, there's no precedent for this. And it's interesting here because my screen share, I'll just put this up for a second. Screen share, what matters? I don't know. Let's see, what matters? What's the predominant color that's up on the screen? It seems like it's black. So I guess black something matters. Black and red matters, maybe? I don't know. Certain things matter. Now, again, I like to really make this point because I think it's one of the most important points that can be made about what's going on now. This is no way to belittle or demean racism. I do not condone it in any way, shape, or form. But there's differences between sheer and utter racism and just tribalism and, people feeling more comfortable amongst people that are their own people, sort of thing. Blacks often feel a lot more comfortable among black people. White people feel more comfortable often amongst white people. And Chinese people feel more comfortable amongst Chinese people. Persian people it's just the way it is, right? There's nothing racist about it. It's just the way that we are. Doesn't mean that we can't all get along. In fact, we do pretty well if it weren't for the hideous, horrible, racist, dividing New World Order that has to reinforce and re-traumatize and program whole generations into divide and conquer and identity politics. And race baiting is everywhere, and it's used as a weapon to divide and conquer. And so now we're seeing, an orchestrated chaos that is being used, and it is so disturbing to see this violence and rioting along, and there's good stuff in it, right? There are people that are not doing violence. I mean, the violence is starting to subside. Hopefully it will continue to go down. But then again, while the violence is subsiding, a lot of that's because of the the military presence, the National Guard being called in, martial law, curfews, all that crap. So, it's a really awful situation. And I hope people pay attention to the narratives and how long they've been programming us. One of the things I discussed last year was the NHL. Now, you have to ask who runs the NHL, right? That's all you have to do. And, and then you get your answers, because what happened in the NHL last fall, well, it was white privilege, white boys club, old white coaches, racism, innocent black players being singled out by racist white coaches, one after another. A change of culture is needed. A change of culture. NHL must change its culture. CBC, all these, was it 6, 7 coaches that were fired within a month? All of them having the white boy moniker, old boys white club. You had some never had been guy that never even got within sniffing distance of the NHL. I think his name is Alim Aku or something like that. And he came forward with racist allegations against a coach who is currently the coach last September of the Calgary Flames. Well, that coach got fired for something that he allegedly did 10 years earlier, right, in which he used a racist remark and used physical sort of violence. I had physical violence against me as a kid, when I played hockey. I had a lot of it, actually. I had it in soccer. I had it in football. I don't recall have it in rugby, although I'd have to think on that. But I had a lot of it. But I was also an Anglophone growing up in a Francophone community or a Francophone province, which, is not a very good thing. And it's even worse if you're black and you're Anglophone sort of thing. But, it's not like I haven't experienced what you would call racism, but I don't go around saying, oh, the world owes me, and I suffered horribly and I didn't make it here and I didn't make it there because of this and that. Those are just easy excuses, right? Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You find a way to make yourself rise up. Often it's the obstacles that push you to be tougher and harder and make you work harder. This SJW realm that they're creating in these the sissy state with all these LGBT, PNSW, XYZ privileged, just lobotomized tools that think the world owes them something, right? And they have no concept of anything. They never worked a hard day in their life. They don't even know what real work is. They have no clue, no understanding. And they're angry at the world because, of course, they watch their mind control. Their mind control is telling them, that white people are bad. All Black Lives Matter. Now, Black Lives Matter, again, is redundant. It's actually insulting because you're suggesting somehow that Black lives don't matter. So you don't need to say Black Lives Matter. That's idiocy. Of course, all lives matter. And I try to encourage Black people, and I really think that this is the way to go forward, is stop referring to yourself as a Black person. Just stop referring to yourself as a Black person. Just start referring to yourself as a person. Don't say you're a Black man. Say you're a man. I'm getting really pissed off by this because this is exactly what the New World Order wants. They want us all to, well, I'm a Black. See, what they're pushing on the Blacks is identify yourself as Black first, right? And that's already dividing you from everyone else. And then you're saying I'm Black and I'm a victim. Well, CNN's going to tell you that, right? All the media is going to tell you that. All your Hollywood movies are going to tell you that, right? All your SJWs are going to tell you that. And your Antifa and your BLM and all that are going to tell you that, right? But is it really true? And, what do you want out of all of this? And how do we actually end racism? Well, I believe we end racism when we treat everyone the same. Everyone. So all lives matter. So it's redundant to say Black Lives Matter. Of course they matter. You're insulting me by suggesting that somehow I have to say it so that it makes that it makes it true. Of course it makes it true. You're human beings. We're all human beings. So I don't have any sympathy towards Black Lives Matter. Not that I don't have any sympathy towards Blacks that have suffered from racism. That's that's of course what the straw man comes in and sort of says, oh, you don't support Black Lives Matter, which means of course that you're racist and all that. No, it's ridiculous. It's insulting. That's straw man sort of thing, right? All lives matter, and the only way that we get over racism is if we stop applying it in every turn, right? If you stop saying I'm a Black male or I'm a Black female or I'm a Chinese male or I'm a Asian male or I'm a like these things, it's okay when you're trying to describe yourself, like I say, like, okay, my friends are coming over. I'm not going to say my Black friends are coming over, right? You don't say it like that because that is actually kind of a racist way of approaching it. Because when you say to your friend or you say to your, whoever you're with, oh, my Black friends are coming over, then it's like, well, they're a different category of friends. And therefore that racism comes in. No, they're your friends. They're fellow human beings. We're all human beings. We all deserve the same dignity and respect unless we do something to violate that. So this divide and conquer that's being orchestrated is extremely evil. It's so out of context. There's so much that is being misrepresented, so many lies that are being circulated, so much evilness that is at foot, so much divide and conquer. And it's very, very disturbing to see it all play out because you feel like I really feel like it's like shouting at the wind kind of thing, right? Like, because our controllers control the media. They control Twitter, they control Instagram, they control, Facebook, they control YouTube, Google, all of the media, and they control all the major media networks, and they are the voice, or they are the message. They are what people react to. If nobody watched this, there would probably be very few problems amongst us. If nobody was watching CNN, if nobody was watching the Canadian Brainwashing Corporation, it's publicly funded by Canadian taxpayers and wants to turn your kids into trannies, right? If nobody was watching these things, there would be none of this tension, and so much of it is manufactured by our media. So much of it. It's so utterly criminal how awful and evil our media is. And this is the method that they use to divide and conquer us. There's no attempt here to end racism, because that's really the solution. The real solution of ending racism is stop labeling yourself. Stop all this crap. Everyone is the same. Every single... See, like LGBT, XYZ people, right? I know you're mentally ill for the most part, but you don't need any extra rights at all. There's no extra rights that you deserve. There's no extra rights that should ever be made for certain people. There's nobody that deserves extra protection. There's no laws that should come in and say, well, you can say whatever you want about these people, and you can ruin them and make fun of them and ridicule them and post memes about them and say that they're the worst people ever and that we can get rid of them and that the world will be better without them. But then there's this small group of people that you cannot absolutely say anything about. And if you do, you are anti-something. And that is just wrong in every way, shape, and form. All racism must be defined, and it must be applied evenly to everyone. And yes, people can be absolutely racist towards white people. You could come across a group of black people that have been horribly programmed by BLM, and they hate every white person that comes around. They don't care. And they're going to walk by them, and they're going to make comments, or they're going to try to start some fisticuffs, maybe because they feel empowered by what has happened. And you're going to say that's not racism. Of course it's racism, because you are identifying as a race, and then you are separating yourself from other races, and then you're saying those people are bad. Those people have privilege. Nobody has privilege. The only people that have privilege are the people that are in the government, right? The people that run this new world order, the people that run the banks, the people that work in Hollywood. Those are the people that have all the privilege. None of us have privilege. None of us have any privilege. As a white male growing up in Montreal as an Anglophone, I was told when I was in university that there was zero chance, zero. I was told in my field that not one Caucasian male had been hired as a professor in over a decade. So you wonder why I end up doing jobs like this, right? Because all those jobs have been taken away from people like myself because of affirmative action programs. So if you think that I have privilege because I'm white, you are absolutely dreaming in rainbow unicorn technicolor, okay? The privilege that they're trying to make every white person feel is just part of this divide and conquer, turn everyone against the majority, make the majority hate themselves and have no pride in themselves, right? I showed this years back where I did this video. Oh, it's unbelievable when you think about it. I did this video where I looked at I mean, it was a very short video. I got a message here coming in. Is this him? Yeah. Make a comment. I'll rent you. Are you there? Yeah. Where are you? I'm going to look for you. Actually, can I rent you? I don't think I'm signed in. Where are you? I don't see you there. There he is. Okay. Let's see. Can I add as a moderator? No, I can't. Damn. I don't know. I can't do it right now. Is there somebody causing trouble? Anyways, if let me know. I gotta set some mods up, obviously. I can't follow the chat when everything is going on. Okay. So what I showed 10 years ago on a podcast, it's because I'm not signed in TM, because I'm using StreamYard. And StreamYard, it's just what it is, right? It's like you go in through your email kind of thing. Anyways, so a video that I did a few years back, which got I got a community guidelines strike. Community guidelines strike. And all I did, I no speaking, no Jeff C, no swearing, no nothing, not my voice at all. It was just images taken from that day of Wikipedia. And all I did is put in the title, one of these is not like the others. And so it was a minute 30 seconds probably. And I don't know if there was any sound to it. I don't think there was. There was certainly no talking. And all I did was I showed Black Pride on Wikipedia. I showed Asian Pride on Wikipedia. And I showed LGBT Pride on Wikipedia. And I showed White Pride. YouTube hit me with a community guideline strike for hate speech because I showed, and I didn't even say anything. All I said was one of these is not like the others in the title. So Black Pride was all about being proud of being Black and the heritage and the history and the suffering and the, you know, the racial discrimination that Blacks have had to overcome and how great it was. And, you know, and Asian Pride was pretty much the same thing. LGBT Pride, of course, the greatest pride in the history of the world. It's, you know, wonderful to be so prideful about your sexual confusion, right? You know, to be so confused about sexual reproduction is the greatest pride that you could possibly have in your life. And then White Pride was KKK, white supremacist, and filthy white Trump-tards, basically. Who runs Wikipedia? Who runs Google? To find out who rules over you, simply find out who you're not allowed to criticize. Oh, who said that, by the way? Oh, no, it wasn't. It wasn't, what's his name? Voltaire, right? Voltaire? Oh, no, Voltaire is way too smart. He could never have said that. Voltaire would never say something like that. No. No, it was a white supremacist guy that said that. Ah, okay. Since a white supremacist guy said it, according to the Beast Media, then it has no validity, right? Right? That's the logic, right? That's the logic. To find out who rules over you, simply find out who you're not allowed to criticize. It's all. It's done. If you're allowed to put out 20 things that white people do, 30 things that, we'll say butt feed, right? Every day, talking about how white people ruin everything, or the 30 things that my white friend said, why white people are so embarrassing, you know, all this, you could put that out, but then you supplement white with Black or Jew or something, and all of a sudden it's completely different. If you think that white people are any different than any other people, you are actually racist. If you think that white people are inherently racist, you are under absolute mind control. There is absolutely no difference from any of us other than the color of our skin and where we might have come from. Maybe we have certain features, right? You know, certain features that are more prominent based on your region, right? Lighter skin tones, right? More prominent brows, more prominent, bigger noses, bigger lips, or whatever, right? But we're all just human beings. Those are just minor little things that differentiate us. We're all human beings. So we all have to treat each other like human beings. We all have to treat each other as fellow human beings, first and foremost. So all this racial divide and conquer is all, for the most part, manufactured by the beast media. And it's all about control and destruction, chaos, right? Order through chaos. So these riots are evil. And of course, it's no coinky-dink that George Floyd himself has the ordo ab chaos on his, he has the actual tattoo, which we'll show here, on his chest, because that's what it all is. Our media is so evil. It's the most evil thing. It really is, because without it, there's no way to divide and conquer everyone. People would just get along. They would. Absolutely. I've told you, I've met people from all over the world. I've met people. I'm in a very cosmopolitan city. I've met people all over the world. I'm telling you, there's no way that if you just let people be, that this stuff would be happening. No way. No chance. This is all part of how they control us. So it's extremely evil what is going on. And it's very important that we all take a stand and not play into either side of their paradigm, right? It is somewhat, because like a lot of what I do end up covering would be favorable to the conservatives, would be favorable to the right, if you will, on the left-right paradigm, right? Because the idiocy and the violence and the funding of the Antifa and the BLM groups and their methods of operation, right? Exposing all those things. But I've exposed MAGA and I've exposed all the conservative. I've for years I exposed the fake alternative media, especially on the right, the conservative, the rebel media, Alex Jones, right? Mike Cernovich, all the Pizza Gators, David Seaman, all these characters that are on the right of the spectrum. And it's just as much controlled as the left. And the two sides are being pitted off against each other. And they are trying to foster a civil war. There's no question about it. And, every day it's like a tennis game. It goes back and forth. Some days it's the conservatives that are getting the best ammunition, and other days it's the leftists. And often what you see is if you're in these circles, you just see what you want to see first and foremost, but really it's what they provide for you. So if you're in the conservative circles, you're going to see all their memes and all their videos and their pundits. If you're in the leftists, you're going to see all their stuff. So everyone's stuck in their zone. So it doesn't really matter what really goes on, because it's just going to be spun endlessly to your chosen side of the left-right paradigm, basically. And there are extremes on those sides, of course, and they push people to those extremes. And then when you get extreme enough on the left and right, you're in the same place, right? So it's like fascist and anti-fascist, right? Because you'd say the extreme right would be fascism. Well, the extreme left, I mean, it's the exact same thing. The people that claim to be anti-fascist are actually the most fascist people that are up there. It's the big joke. So, stream not letting me keep on trying. Okay, let me see. I'll try and send you the link again here. Maybe try a different browser. You don't need to sign in. So you don't, I'm just saying in case I'm talking to TM Films, you don't need to sign into your account. So you can just come in anonymously, sort of thing. So you can use maybe if you've got a different browser, if you're having trouble, I don't know, sometimes it's the phone, or maybe you want to sign out and try to just come in anonymously, and then you can put your logo in when you put your name in, sort of thing. So anyways, yeah, it's really bad what's going on. It's very disturbing, and it's chaos that they're creating. It's so evil, because you feel like, if you could just sit down, if you could just take all these people, right, that are foaming at the mouth and get them to calm down, give them a chill pill, maybe an alcoholic beverage and a joint, just sit around the campfire and then give them a history lesson, give them a lesson on the New World Order, and just say, look, you're all being played. You're all being played, right? We're all being played. Canada is really bad. It's really, really bad. The affirmative action and the diversity programming here is just through the roof. It's almost impossible to find, like, say, in the media, Caucasian non-tribe members. Almost impossible. So when I say non-tribe, I hope you know which tribe I mean, right? They don't really do that anymore. So you all the media, it's like when I put on Toronto media, for instance, there's often women, they're Muslim women in hijabs and stuff like that. And it's like, is this Toronto or is it Afghanistan? Well, it's the New World Order. That's the proper answer. And white is not all right. In fact, you could easily say that white people are suffering from the worst racism in the world right now. Yeah, I would say that. I would say that white people, by and large, are more racism is being committed towards white people than any other race in North America right now. And you see all the white people in the fake media who are bending over backwards, to lick other people's buttholes and to apologize for their privilege. And it's so utterly disgusting. It's just so revolting, right? It's when I showed, okay, and I mentioned the NHL, I mentioned all the NHL coaches that were fired. So they had a big psyop last fall in the NHL. Who runs the NHL? Good question, right? Who runs all your sports leagues? Who runs Hollywood? Who runs your banks? Who runs all this stuff, right? I don't know. I'm just asking YouTube who's runs all this stuff. So they had all these terrible white people, and then the CBC and CTV and Rogers Sports and all them were saying we have to end the culture. The culture. What is the culture? Hockey can't be a white sport. Well, it is a white sport. It's French Canadians. White French Canadians made the friggin' sport. They made the sport. They invented it. They developed it. It's their culture. It's their heritage. It's the most Canadian thing on the planet. There's nothing more Canadian. Maybe maple syrup would be the one other thing that you could say is like uniquely Canadian, but the most Canadian thing that there is hockey, and it's a white sport. What's the matter? It doesn't mean black people can't play. It came from white people. White people invented it. There's nothing wrong with white people having a sport. Black people have basketball, for instance, and even though it was invented by a white Canadian guy, it's definitely a black sport, and it's a huge part of their culture. I have no problems whatsoever saying basketball is largely a black sport. Good for them. They're extremely athletic, and they're excellent. It's an excellent sort of sport, and it's really something to behold, the athleticism and stuff like that. So, there's nothing wrong with us. You saw last year too, as well, and late last year, where the Scandinavian Airlines put out that commercial where they said there's no such thing as Scandinavian, that Finnish and Swedish and Norwegian and Danish people have no culture whatsoever. They have no history, no culture. They've never invented anything. They have nothing distinct about them. In fact, they even had a nerdy black guy with a gap in his teeth saying, "My Viking ancestors." They just took a giant dump on their own people and their own history and their own heritage. How does that help with racism, by the way? Well, it's all part of the Kalergi plan, of course. This is all part of our controllers and making people hate their own culture or feel like they don't have any culture. Why is it that blacks and Asians and everyone else is so invested in their history and their culture? But if you do that, if you're white, then you're racist, you're a supremacist. Well, that's because who controls our media? That's why. It's that simple. So we're all being played. And I've had enough. I have frickin' had enough of it. I have had enough. I cannot stomach it anymore. Every time I open up the CBC, I see gazillions of articles. And if they're not about white privilege and terrible white people and how many white people have committed, and white, just white supremacy and all these different things, it's about misogyny. It's about women getting the raw end of the stick. It's about women being victims of male aggression, toxic masculinity. And if it's not about that, it's about drag kids, right? How drag kids are the greatest thing in the world. I mean, I can't even begin to describe how evil the CBC is. I cannot even begin to describe it. I think everyone in the CBC needs to be arrested. I think it's a criminal organization, but it's publicly funded by Canadian taxpayers. We pay for this propaganda. We pay for the monsters that use our money to ruin our own lives and make us feel awful about who we are. It's unbelievable what's going on. And this is just, it's gone way too far. So let's see here. Are you still not being able to get in, dude? What's the deal here? Hang on a second here. was having trouble getting in the podcast here. See if we can get this figured out here. And yeah, just it's nice to see everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well. And we're going to not tolerate in the chat if these douchebags show up to just take a crap on everything. We're just going to throw you out. There's never going to be any tolerance for that type of stuff. So and we've had that type of stuff going on for so many years. Anyways, do what we do. And yeah, just hope you guys are hanging in there. I hope you are. I mean, so much of this is causing so much tension and so much anxiety amongst people. It's causing people to, lose sleep. People are losing their work. I mean, they just keep shoveling more on us. It's so evil what's going on. I mean, I'm watching it today, and I'm looking up in Rainbow Unicorn Land, okay? And what they're doing with the provinces, with the scamdemic, is so incredibly, it's insane. You got like Nova Scotia, for instance, which has no cases of the scamdemic, right? But they are like, they've got borders now, which is totally illegal, totally unconstitutional. And they're forbidding people from coming in. If people do come into their province, they're making them quarantine for 14 days. We have a district here, a predominantly Jewish district, that just implemented a 3-month mandatory mask in all public, all outside, everywhere you go, you have to wear a mask here in Montreal. So for what, right? Oh, they're saying, well, X amount of people died. Really? People die all the time. What are they actually dying of? Okay, so Joe was eaten by a shark, but he had Kobe, so he died of Kobe, right? Sue was hit by a bus, but she had Kobe, so she died of Kobe, right? Everyone that dies pretty much is being labeled a Kobe death. That's how this New World Order is sneaking all this stuff through. So it's pretty bad. And yeah, we need to what are we going to do, right? We need to be able to counteract their narrative, but they're shutting everything down. They're censoring, they're blocking. And oh yeah, I need to talk about Trump and Twitter, because I don't think I've specifically addressed that. So Trump was allegedly, this is all part of their theatrics, of course. Trump got censored by Twitter and was given some sort of suspension, and so he's threatening to remove the 320 sort of clause that these operations function under. And the 320 clause is which enables social media websites to post, like, they're not liable for anything that's posted on their websites, right? So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these social media giants, there's no liability for anything that goes up on their platforms. They can never be sued for videos that have been put up, right? That's the 320 sort of clause that they have. But they are now, Trump is threatening to revoke that. So this is, and you would think, and all the conservative people are cheering it on, because they're going to be like, all right, great, Trump's going to remove that clause that they have that enables them to make massive amounts of money, and and it's all ostensibly be done because the conservatives are being censored. But the reality is, if he removes the 320 clause, then these social media giants are going to censor even more, because they won't be protected anymore. So I don't know. Right. So it's just another whole sort of orchestration of how they're able to manipulate, make it seem like they're fighting for justice. In Trump's case, to divide and conquer with Trump is unbelievable. Never seen before. Never been anything remotely like this ever. Nothing on this scale in the history of the United States. There's never been a more polarizing president ever. Ever. No one. You go throughout history, there's never been anyone that divided people as much as Trump. That's all by design. That is all by design. So it's pretty disturbing how this is all being rolled out. And yeah. Oh, devices. There he is. He got in. Finally. All right, TMF. You having trouble there, man? How are you doing? Are you functioning?
Hey, yeah. Audio check.
Yep, it's good.
Okay, yeah. It's StreamYard is not the most efficient. I've come to realize it's a little glitchy at times. It wasn't letting me in there for some reason. But how's it going, man?
Oh, that's good. I mean, considering. I mean, it's good. I'm talking about all the angst and frustration and tension and everything. I mean, you got to be feeling it. Everyone's feeling it. It's all been orchestrated and it's all out of our control. And they just keep amping it up. So it's very difficult for, I think, all of us. I think everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity you are. We're all being played. We're all feeling this anxiety and tension and, you know, this the violence and the chaos that they're unleashing. It's pretty evil. to be honest, I mean, it's just we're dealing with evil, right? We're dealing with pure, unadulterated evil, and you know, we're in a different realm now. Whereas in the past, we were able to, on platforms like this, we were able to really make noise, right? Where the corporate media was this was YouTube. It was for, you know, it was for just regular people. It wasn't for ABC News. It wasn't for NBC News. It wasn't for the dumb turds. It wasn't for all these. But now it's, you know, them tube, and we're being censored over and over again. By the way, you should tell folks, you just got, I did put up I put videos on 2 channels there to try to get people to get to your backup channel there, which I know, but you want to explain to folks what you got censored for?
Yeah, sure. So my main channel, another strike, just like you. We're in the 2-week club, right now.
Yeah,
the 2
1 week
suspension club.
For me,
you're 1 week.
Yeah, because it's the 1 strike. But when
you
get
I
2
thought
strikes,
you got the second.
No,
okay,
I got another strike on another channel.
On another channel. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the same time.
Oh, okay. That's the confusion I'm confused about.
Yeah.
So I got the second strike, of course, and on the covering, you know, I mirrored Donald Netanyahu's video of coverage of Stephen Jackson's insane divide and conquer Masonic script remarks on the destruction of Minnesota. He's all for it. He wants to let it happen. Of course, coverage of it, I get stricken down for inciting hate speech and inciting or glorifying, as it says in the community guidelines. It says glorifying or inciting violence. That's exactly what he did. Yeah, I gets taken down, and the video, of course, on Undisputed Fox Sports, that's still up on YouTube, is still up.
Yeah. You're the one that did the hate speech. That's why.
Yeah, I can't quote it. I guess you can't, because, you know, it's in the I put his quote in the title, so, you know, you can't quote someone. You can't do news coverage, even though that's under fair use. You can't put that in the title. Yeah, you know the usual shenanigans. So so I'm just on my backup channel here, and we'll be here until then, and we'll proceed with caution with the later chat with the main channel. But yeah, it's tough. You know, it sucks.
Yeah, and everybody needs to know this. I mean, you're sure people do. I mean, that's why I have the name Just Censored. We're always being censored. We're always being attacked. And that's why we got to move around. So what we ask of you is to come and try to sub our backups. You know, that's why we provide those links, you know, so that you can go. It doesn't take much effort to just click on a link and sub it. I put TM's channel in the description, so you guys go over there and give him a sub, help him out. Because it really, nobody knows it better than me. You know, you lose the channel, or you get, you know, you're going to be like 3 months probably before you can really get back to your main channel, sort of thing. So it's very frustrating. I got one of my strikes was for impersonation. Get this, impersonation. I don't know if I told you this, but and it was just a video that I mirrored, and it's a video of the Ontario police showing up at some guy's home and arresting him. So he videotaped it himself and put it up on his YouTube channel, and I mirrored it, and they they gave me a strike for impersonation, and I'm like, what am I impersonating? It's like it's the same thing as you. It's like hate speech, and it's like no, it's Stephen Jackson that did the hate speech. That is hate speech. What Stephen Jackson said. If a white person said that, are you kidding me? If a white influential, say, basketball player or even former player said that, his career would be toast. He would be absolutely mortified, ruined throughout the media, and
Oh,
that would
everyone
be
would
it.
be up in arms.
Yep.
Everyone would be just the world would just crumble, flipped upside down if a Caucasian person said those kind of remarks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the
Um,
hypocrisy is out of this world, and it's never going to work unless it's all evenly applied. But of course, that's not at all what they want. They want chaos. They don't want us to ever, like, for them, for like, that's why Black Lives Matter, they put so much money into it, right? And they put so much money into Antifa, just like they put so much money into MAGA and these other groups as well on the right, because they don't want us ever just putting aside our differences and saying, you know what, let's all just get along, sort of thing, right? They don't want that at all. They want to traumatize people, just like they go after the women, the women, the women. Why are all the women protesting? What the hell is going on? What are they're protesting for? What? Reproductive rights, and it's like, well, you don't even want to reproduce. You want to be able to murder babies. So, like, what are you protesting for? Like, what are you so angry? Oh, you got taxes on your tampons. Okay, well, to get somebody in politics to remove the taxes, right? Elect somebody that goes on a platform that they're going to get rid of the taxes on tampons, and there you go. We get taxes on freaking razor blades, right? I mean, yeah, I don't think there should be taxes on tampons, but I don't think you can blame men for that. It's just a freaking new world order, right? I mean, it's just insanity that they're able to do this to people, and like I covered it the other day, where it's like CBC, and it had like this woman, this University of Toronto professor, and she's black, and she comes on, and they say, so and so is a gender studies and women's studies, PhD at the. It's like, that's all you need to hear, right? Gender studies and women's studies. Why do we have these studies? Well, because you have to program women into being not women, basically, into being militant dykes that hate men, that think that they're victims. And again, too, when it comes to racism, right? It's hilarious because when it comes to racism, it's a matter of class. The more higher class you are, the more you perceive racism. The lower class you are, the less you perceive it. So it's more of an education sort of programming that programs women into thinking men are just horrible, right? You've always been victims of men. That they learn these things, these learned behaviors. This is why academia is so dangerous, because it's all guised as this is the way you advance yourself. But what are you really advancing yourself in, right? Women's studies, gender studies. I mean, gender studies. What? Right? It's just insanity. So it's like
oh
these.
well, it's just a cover to push the destruction of the genders.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
actual so-called expertise and educational pedigree on
yeah.
these issues. It's just a way to spread the propaganda and indoctrinate further. Clearly.
Yeah, exactly. It's all like, right, order of chaos being the motto of the show, but really the motto of the New World Order. Everyone needs to know this. All right. I think most people do, but if you don't, this is the chaos is all manufactured. Like, if people were left and they didn't have the television, they didn't have the media and the social media and the Twitter and all these things to react to, most of us would be getting along fine. And then we'd be focused on our own lives, and we'd be focused on, hey, how do I get myself better? How do I improve, right? How do I take what I know and maybe, or build myself up or build my business or whatever it is, right? But instead, they divert your energy, and they program you into being a victim, and then it becomes your cause, right? Like so many of these people, like it's like women in diversity studies or women in gender studies or women's studies themselves, they're going into these things because they've been programmed from an early age into going into these things, and then it becomes their life. Their life becomes all these stats and all these things that have come through their cultural Marxist, Fabian society, freaking academia, New World Order academia, and they are forevermore committed to a path of resistance, a path of warfare in a sense, right? Where you're at war with other people because of ideologies that you've been programmed into. It's very evil. Like I honestly think now, like I would recommend people avoid higher education and I would avoid it like the bubonic plague these days. I mean, if you really want to better yourself, you want to learn business and stuff like that, right? But you'd probably want to pick up some crafts or some trades and stuff like that. But the higher education, I mean, most people that go into these to get these degrees in academia, you don't find, unless you get into the teaching and stuff like that, chances are you're not going to get a job in that. But then you become part of these organizations, and that's where Black Lives Matter comes in, right? Where these organizations are being financed by globalists to push people into the divide and conquer. And what do you think? Did you see by the way, did you see the Project Veritas leak that was put out today?
I didn't catch it. No.
So yeah,
No,
they
what happened?
well they infiltrated Antifa, and so they had one of their, well, it was like they got somebody to join Antifa and bring in a hidden camera sort of thing to get their tactics. And they were talking about, like, when they're in confrontation. For instance, one of the examples that was given is that eye gouging is one of the most effective ways to fight somebody, like just to go for the eye, and it's very easy to gouge somebody's eyeball out, sort of thing. It's one of the things they caught on tape. But that, basically, Antifa employs, terror tactics within their organizations. They actually teach their members to engage in violence. So of course, we know all this, right? It's nothing new. But it's, again, Project Veritas is just part of this left-right, control scheme, in my opinion, for sure. I don't know where your sentiments lie on them. I mean, there's good information that they release, but it's kind of like WikiLeaks, right? It's stuff that they want to get out because it helps just push people either direction, right? Sort of thing.
Yeah, they seem a little too polished and well connected to me. I don't know the specifics, but briefly looking into them, they seem minimum suspicious, very suspicious. I know they did a piece that appeared to be truthful on the shenanigans of the mainstream media with the COVID situation. They did that piece where the scripted little scene there with the line of cars appearing to be busy.
Yep.
They did that. That was like huge. That went really viral. So it's a.
But then what does it do, right? Because it doesn't really stop anything, because most people don't see that. What it does is it solidifies people that are already on the opposite side. It gives them more ammunition, but the other side of the left-right paradigm don't even pay attention to it or completely disregard it because they go under the memes, because Project Veritas has these auto sort of memes about them. Like everything, like one of the things is everything from Project Veritas is a lie. This is what they'll say on the left. Like it's actually like a hashtag that they use. Everything that, right? So it's like, you see what I mean? Like it should be damning information. It was CBS again, who I mean, they're all the same, but CBS has been hugely exposed by myself, by yourself, and so many others as having fake footage, staging, taking footage from, Italy and stuff like that, inserting it, making it look like it's New York City and stuff like, they all do this though. CNN does this all the time. This is old school. And they don't even care. Like it seems like it doesn't even matter, because even if it does leak, it just feeds the different sides, right? Like the people that already buy it are going to buy it no matter what, and the people that don't buy it are just going to be more against what's going on. So this orchestrated divide and conquer that is happening, like this, I feel like there's always a truth, right? There's an objective truth to these things. Like did they stage a freaking phony sort of testing center, for instance, right? For Kobe. Yes, that's the fact. That's the objective fact. And that's important, and it needs to get out. But the reality is, if they stage that, it should be all over. If the media was doing their job, if the media did not have any bias, or was not controlled, or was not fake like it is, it would be over, and then everyone would question everything, sort of thing. But all it ends up doing is going to the conservative camps and emboldens their sort of belief system and their sort of support, say, for Trump or whatever, right? And it doesn't really have any impact. And it's just completely disregarded by the mainstream media. So it's like, it's very frustrating, because it's like throughout this scamdemic, we have had so many bombshells that have been exposed that show how much fakery and staging is going on. One of the biggest, of course, being the Film Your Hospitals, which you and I both got massively censored over, but we were very active in trying to get those to go viral and get that information out, because it was so critical that people understand that what is being shown on the television is the complete opposite of what is actually happening. And not only what is actually happening, but actually happening at the very hospitals that they're claiming, like the Elmhurst Hospital in Brooklyn there, right? The one that they were using as the epicenter of the whole coronavirus. And then we had all this footage from people on the street that were showing that it's all bullcrap. There's nobody there. It's totally empty, sort of thing. It's very frustrating, because it's like we have all the information and evidence in the world to sink the entire scamdemic 100 times over, and yet we haven't really been able to put a dent into what they're trying to accomplish. So,
ironically enough, it's not us who diminished the hysteria, the Kobe hysteria. It is George Floyd, as I told you earlier, yesterday. George Floyd cured Kobe. George Floyd cured COVID-19. There you go. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like a light switch, and people are out there. They just don't even care. And most people, they just forgot it actually existed. They're like, oh yeah, I forgot. You see that a lot of comments like that I've seen around.
Yeah, I saw a march yesterday. I don't know if it was Nashville or something. I don't know where it was, but it's somewhere in the United States, where there must have been 1 million people, all the way down the entire. They had a helicopter, and they're all the way down as far as you could see were people. They were as tight as you could be, crammed like sardines, all close to each other. And it just throws the entire thing out the window, folks, because you couldn't get people closer together than they have been for the whole riots, right? And not only just close together, but sweating all over each other. And, a lot of them are wearing masks, but I mean, come on, they're barely wearing them most of the time. Their, noses are popping out, or they're constantly touching their mask. As soon as you touch your mask, it's pretty much useless already. So the whole mask narrative is just the joke now. And yet most of those people that are at these, the millions and millions of people that have shown up for the Black Lives Matter marches for this George Floyd character, they would be the same people that would be berating all the conservatives who broke the quarantine sort of protocols, right, to go and protest, say, like at Michigan State Hall and stuff like that, right, like just a month or a few weeks earlier, sort of thing. You see the
Yes,
utter.
this is true. Yes, yes, they are all of the same programming as those people, and of the same. They are all victims of the same programming, yet they're out there. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so
Interesting.
yeah, we have this just unbelievable sort of hypocrisy that is happening. And yes, folks, I mean, come on, seriously, with the amount of people that are involved in these riots, you can see it's all a big scam by now, right? You can see that there is no pandemic. There's absolutely no pandemic. Not anything like they're saying. There's no chance that there is. And if there was, then people would be dropping dead kind of thing, right? So it's all been a big scam and it just kind of disappears for a few weeks, I guess, maybe a couple weeks. And then it's coming back, right? Because they are going ahead with all the social distancing as we go forth in the summer here in Montreal, and they're getting mandatory masks in a lot of places already, right? A lot of businesses are already starting to do a mandatory mask. Some of the municipalities have passed mandatory mask for the next 3 months, kind of thing, which is just an insanity, forcing people to wear masks no matter what. And it's like, what, you got all these protesters who are, breaking down windows and busting into places and sweating all over each other, beating on each other, and climbing over each other and fighting with police. And there's nothing, like, there's no way that this is what they claim it is. So you get some wind coming in there.
Oh, my
Guess
apologies,
you're
sir.
you're out on the prowl there.
I am. I am. Let me fix this here.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just just jump back in as soon as you get it worked out. What you need is one of those wind covers that you can get, or like you get a little microphone that you can attach to your phone with a little wind cover on it. Those things can work pretty well. That's what the reporters use and stuff like that, right? But anyways, yeah. So all of this is going on. I'm showing up on the screen now. What do we got here? George Floyd, of course, with his Ordo Ab KO, his Order of Chaos tattoo that he has with the double eagle, the 333 Masonic symbolism of course, this whole scamdemic. And this is somebody
Yeah,
here's got.
isn't that interesting? The tattoo. I couldn't see that. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep, you're good now. All good.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, I couldn't see the tattoo like well enough because it's dark. I had to find a good picture, but it indeed appears to be Phoenix bird, eh?
Yep. Yeah, it is. It is not all that easy to see. I'm looking on this article here, and it's weird. It's like he doesn't seem to have the photo up here of it. But there's a few here on YouTube that have it. So let's see if I can find a better one here. But yeah, he clearly has that tattoo on him, and it's very telling, of course. There's no way that's a coincidence, folks. That's impossible, sort of thing. There's a video here. So let's see if this might be your video. Actually, now that your channel's censored, who is this here? JSuck. Okay. We'll see if we can find it in here. It looks like it's pretty clean. Yeah. There you go. Still a bit hard to see. You've got it here too when he's being arrested. There. But of course, George Floyd being a porn star and a criminal with a lengthy record, right? He was nothing even remotely squeaky clean. You had Candace Owens today coming out, and she, Candace Owens, right?
All right, here we go.
Yeah. So Candace Owens works for PragerU, which should tell you a lot. And she came out and just basically countered the narrative on George Floyd and said some bad things. It was all over Twitter. I'll see if I can bring this up here. I'll just put Candace. Well, yeah, Candace Owens here. So yeah, Meghan Markle, of course, MM33 here, the so-called diverse, like she is such a psyop in herself, this whole character. But she came out, and you have Larry Johnson here, who's another character that is most definitely controlled op here. This guy who is a former football player. He likes to promote the gematria stuff. Um, but yeah, here's so what did Candace Owens say here? We'll see. Yeah, I think this is it. Let's listen in here.
All right. I have been sitting on how I felt about this George Floyd situation now for a few weeks, and I'm finally ready to say what I know to be true. And I am aware it's going to make a lot of people hate me. But at the end of the day, I think truth is more important. And especially in times of tremendous deceit, which I think we are in today. I am talking specifically to the heart of Black America right now. I'm speaking to you. If you can share this video to Black Americans, they're going to be angry with me, but it needs to be said. So let's just start at the beginning of where my train of thought comes from. You guys know that I am a huge fan of the writings of Walter Williams, Shelby Steele.
Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's like 17 minutes long, but she basically said he's neither a martyr or a hero, and she got roasted, of course, all over the media. And you got a lot of these. So they position a lot of these characters on the right end of the spectrum, right? The left right paradigm. She is one of the major players for the Black conservatives, and you have a number of these characters, and they're all part of this, folks. I mean, they might be more right for sure. I mean, right? They're, you know, I'm sure TM would agree with me. I mean, our sentiments will definitely fall more in line with a lot what comes out of the right, the conservative sort of camp, because they're going to counter these narratives, right? And sometimes correctly. But they're all part of the game. They're all part of this divide and conquer, because she's just going to be hated by, in fact, what they're calling her, from what I was seeing earlier, is that they were all calling her a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you know, she's a white supremacist. Of course, they won't say who she works for. Right? Nobody ever does that. It's either black or white, or right, you know. I mean, like there's
Well, that would be anti-something. You can't
yeah,
say that.
exactly,
You
exactly.
can't.
You can't say what she works for. But yeah, this is all part of their divide and conquer, folks. So you know, you might agree with some of what she says, but make no mistake, it's controlled COINTELPRO, who works for the beast, without a doubt. That works for the beast. He works for PragerU. You go to watch PragerU in his fireside chats. They have all that beast fire symbolism. They all use it. The Blaze, Breitbart, all of them use that fire beast, daily beast, things like that, right? They use the beast sort of symbolism. So they're all part of the same operation, and this is part of our control. So it always you always have to have this illusion being played that, you know, that there is actual political discourse, and that people have freedom of choice and stuff. That's an illusion, of course, right? Because if you really did have freedom of choice, you really had freedom of speech, then there wouldn't be horrendous censorship against people like myself and TM Films, right? We wouldn't be shutting down all the time. We wouldn't be on our, you know, 12th, 15th channel sort of thing, right? It's not the case. The case is that both sides are controlled. These are birds of the same feather sort of thing. They just play different roles. And so her role as the Black conservative is to counter the BLM sort of message. But yeah, that's, I didn't get a chance to listen to what she said here. You've got the Antifa here with the American flag upside down. Of course, they're burning the American flag all over the place. It's interesting that they have the Antifa has the red and black colors. Those are the satanic colors with their flag. And I don't know what this other one is here, but they've got the sort of centurion symbol, which is a lot of a symbol that a lot of the conservative shills use. But that was one of the ones that was taking off today. And what else did we have? Did you see, like, is there anything that you saw that you think we should discuss right now, or?
Yeah, well, I do have two things,
Yeah.
which I have some I have links for. But one thing first, if you can go back to real quick to uh, Floyd,
Floyd? Yep.
the Masonic screen, if you will, if you want. And
Yep.
first of all, one thing I didn't add, which is another piece to this puzzle, which kind of just can open your people's eyes out there a little more, is of course, I was alluding to the whole twin pillar symbolism, the twin pillar, it being, Masonic ritual and psyop. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, this screen went off, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no,
So
I'm just.
we talk about the twin symbolism, of course, with Stephen Jackson and Floyd being pushed as twins,
Mhm.
and this happening in the Twin Cities,
Yep.
and that Minnesota is absolute Masonic hub,
Mhm.
and and so they're pushing this order out of chaos right out of there. Also, this was done when, Jeff, in the month of Gemini.
Yeah, the twins.
Twins.
It's all because
Absolute Masonic order out of chaos, psychological operation, all by the details here. The devil's in the details, and yeah, you have just dot after dot after dot, Masonic dot after dot after dot that you can connect there. And then additionally, the footage itself. One thing I just want to mention about the footage itself when he was arrested, or when he was pushed to the ground and knee to the neck. The EMTs arriving, and then they just immediately put him on the gurney. There's no check, if you noticed, Jeff. I don't know if you noticed that, the EMT shenanigans there, and the whole just
yeah.
absurdity of that. They get there right away, and then they put him on the gurney. No check, no vital sign check, nothing. Just throw him on the gurney, throw him in the ambulance. It's a joke. It's
Yeah,
another joke. It's
the
completely, before I was just not really harping on that, but I mean, it's a joke.
yeah,
It is.
you typically first thing you do is you check right on the scene before you even move the body, because you got to make sure if there's broken bones or a broken neck or anything like that. They didn't do any of that. They just kind of lifted him up and put him in the gurney and rolled them in. A lot of people posted to me that, oh, the EMT uniforms are actually police uniforms. No, I actually checked that out just in case you're wondering. Those are Minnesota uniform or EMT uniforms. So they do fit. They do wear that khaki or tan color sort of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of funny business, of course. What Candace was saying, or no, one of the other ones was saying, I had somebody had sent to me one of their, why did the screen go black there? What's going on there? Is it? Yeah, it's weird. Hey, oh, it went black for a second. Yeah, so somebody had sent to me another MAGA. So I had another black shill from the MAGA maggots sort of thing, and she was questioning the whole thing, saying, "Oh, we never saw him. We didn't see the officers being arrested. We didn't, the officer looks different." Like there's the right side are pushing some of that stuff, but they're not really digging deep into of course, they're not talking at all about the esoteric meanings and all those things. But they're questioning the narrative of the whole story. But it's more like on the right, they're questioning his sort of, innocence, or his, oh, he's the greatest guy ever sort of status that the left side puts out, right? That he was such a family man. He was a caring man. He was so loved. Another thing that I saw too, which I don't have prepared, but it was you saw his crisis actor. They don't exist, by the way. There's no such thing as crisis actor. Just telling the YouTube community because I know
I don't believe in crisis actors.
Yeah.
By the way. But yeah, I know.
That's right.
I know what you're alluding to. Yeah.
But there was a time where we were foolish and we thought that they actually did that kind of stuff. But there's no such thing as crisis actors, of course. But there was a woman that claimed to be his girlfriend, and of course she's white. She's
white. You mean WW? You mean white woman?
White woman.
Okay.
She's a Karen. She's a Karen. Yeah, and she had. I saw a bunch of. I was gonna do a video on it, but I know how it works now, right? I mean, come on, they're gonna just take you down. But yeah, she had some really bad interviews, really hilarious stuff, really, really bad. His brother as well. I saw some hilarious interviews with them. But the Karen that he allegedly was going out with, of course, that all fits into the agendas as well, right? Because he's a porn star, right? Or he's in porn films, which again, that's a wretched sort of thing. I mean, come on, you never, I don't care what you think, doing that type of work. But the thing is that people were showing. I saw this somewhere. I don't know who it was. I can't remember. It was probably last week that I saw it. Somebody had gone through his Facebook, right? So that George Floyd's Facebook. I don't have Facebook, so I can't get in there to see these types of things. They banned me like years back, but they were showing that every single person that George Floyd had on his Facebook, every single one of them, there was like there are probably hundreds of people that he had as friends, right? There was not one white person. Like, none. Everyone was black. And it's like, oh, he just happened to be going out with an ugly white woman sort of thing, right? And he's a porn guy as well, right? So it just fits the narrative. It's another, one of these characters.
Let's not forget about his speaking of family man, his son, Quincy Mason.
Yeah, that's right.
Floyd. Oh, and his daughter, Connie Mason. Connie Mason. Oh, it's just Masons everywhere. I'm sure it means nothing, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. And yeah, all the twin symbolism. This is very, very much. I showed that video too by mine. The one that I did on the twin symbolism was taken down by YouTube as well.
I didn't realize you did one on twin symbolism as well. Oh, yeah. You did one with the Kobe connection?
Yeah, that was the one. The Kobe.
That was the one. Okay.
Yeah, the Kobe. Yeah, and I showed the Twin Cities and the Twin Snakes and the whole thing, right? Like so I didn't put the Gemini connection though. I didn't catch that one, so that's good that you got that. But yeah, this is the twins are a very big part of their symbolism, and it's all done, according to the stars, and this is how they orchestrate these things. We all know this, right? This is so all the symbolism fits. Of course, the twin pillars of masonry being the most obvious of them, but also you could say the two heads of the eagle tattoo that we see right up on the screen here with the 33 on it. So, and the order ab chaos, order out of chaos, this is what is happening without a doubt, folks. This is what is happening. And it's very scary how it's all unfolding because, of course, everything now all of a sudden, these things that would have been unbelievably, egregiously unconstitutional, like curfews, for instance, right? Are you serious, right? Like, think of 2019, you're going to say, hey, guess what? In 2020, all these cities are going to have mandatory curfews, right? Implemented. You'd be like, what? What are you smoking, right? That's you can't do that. You'd have to declare martial law or whatever. It's like, well, look where we are now, right? And these things get normalized. So what they are doing in many ways is they're getting everyone acclimatized to the police state, to military in the streets. And again, something big is, I knocking on wood over and over again. I don't want anything to happen, but what could be, I don't know what your thoughts on this are, is that there's another thing that they're going to throw at us this summer that is going to happen. It could happen soon while you have all this military in place. You see what I mean? Like there might be another. Sure. Yeah, there might be another play coming in, maybe a terror attack or something, right? Or multiple terror attacks, or a biological weapon, like Bill Gates said, or something like that. Or white supremacist, quote unquote, white supremacist uprisings, right? They could do a lot of different things, and then you have the military already in place. That it's all set to go, right? Sort of thing, so that they have snuck all this in under the guise of these race riots, right? Like that's so much of what's going on. Um, it's so insidious that all these things have happened that have completely dismantled the your regular life. Like people can't work. Most people, you got about 45 million, maybe 50 million by now that are unemployed. That could balloon even more. It's the greatest economic drop since the Great Depression. It's probably going to pass that before too long, and it's going to be the greatest economic collapse in the history of the United States. And this is global, of course, as well, because it's happening. We have the whole food shortage, which is being orchestrated massively. So, and then what I covered the other day with Camille was and we were talking about how the FDA is lifting all these regulations on base food ingredients, so that corporations that are struggling because of the shortages, the supply shortages, can now use other things that they don't have to label in their ingredients. So a lot of different things that are happening right at the same time that they're able to get through. Of course, the 5G, the two bills that Trump signed a couple months ago, which we were all over, of course. Which the whole 5G layout is happening. Of course, you've shown in your own neighborhood. I mean, some of the most disturbing stuff there. I still can't get over that video that you put up there where the frickin' 5G tower right over the.
You and Press really like that one. When I was watching that again, that stream we did, and
Yeah, that
you
was.
guys were reviewing that, it's quite incredible um, because it's you can almost reach out the window and grab it. I mean, that's how close it was to the house there, and it's just you marvel at that, at their brazen, behavior, just being able to put those things so close to the homes. But yeah, it's incredible.
Yep, yep. And so
Incredible.
and then with that comes the whole as well. I don't know if you saw my video dealing with um, the scanning booths that people will have to go through. That's one of the things that they're bringing in as well, which is Toronto, showing that they're going to put these at grocers and convenience stores and shopping malls, where you're going to go through these artificial intelligence scanning booths that will be able to detect your body temperature, whether you're sick or not, whether you had alcohol or anything in your system, and whether you're properly social distancing and wearing a mask and all this stuff. It's like all these solutions coming in. That is the new normal, of course, in which our lives have been completely changed 180 degrees, where, like these things that would have been unimaginable even 6 months ago now are coming in as the solutions. And people, of course, have been conditioned to cheering them on. So we really have the whole, like, I do believe, 9/11 obviously was a huge event, but it was mostly going back to it, you know, the big shock was about a week. Most of the events surrounding it, there was the wars and stuff that came later, but most of it that they did happen pretty quickly. And then, even though it was never quite the same, and it was a different paradigm, it's not the same now. This is much worse in many ways. This is from what I'm seeing, is like things have changed so much um, through the scamdemic, and now through with the orchestrated race riots that they're having. And you see again a further sort of destruction of small businesses and middle class, right? With the looting, like the targets and stuff like that are hit. That's nothing, right? Those corporations are massive. They're not going to feel anything. They're completely insured. But then you see conversely,
Yeah,
like
you won't see the CEOs or the owners of those corporate establishments protecting them, protecting it outside the doors.
yeah,
Protecting them with sticks. No, they don't. They'll let it. They'll let it be. Yeah, the insurance, they're fine.
Yeah, in fact, they probably wanted that. In fact, it's more than likely that those places, they knew exactly that, okay, we're going to hit these places, sort of thing. You know, with the agent provocateur stuff that might start the things. But yeah, the small businesses. So like what I was seeing in New York City the other day was just horrifying. It was a lot of black businesses that were being destroyed and gutted. And already these businesses have been in terrible situation because they've been shuttered for so long, and now they're being looted. So you have more of this orchestrated destruction of the middle class, right? Of hardworking Americans that were already stretched to the limit, and now they're getting their places burned down. So you know, it's just really, really disturbing. And then what happens out of this? It's really bizarre because what I think is coming forth. Have you thought about this? Like, have you noticed? Okay, there's a lot of RoboCop stuff going around these days. Have you thought about with the Boston Dynamics police dog and stuff like that that they're gonna shift police now to with by say 2030 sort of thing into robotic police
Oh,
forces?
sure. Oh, sure, sure. This is the infancy stage for that because by 2050, that's the ultimate sort of endgame wet dream scenario for transhumanism to be the transhuman technocracy, you know, endgame for it to be sort of their target point, 2050. So all the things you see on sci-fi movies, Black Mirror, all that stuff will be full reality. I think their goal is 2050 for that you know, for that reality. But 2030 is sort of the normalization, the beginning, the to bring in the next phase, the initial phases of it. And so definitely that is part of it. And in Black Mirror, Jeff, Black Mirror
Hmm.
shows those type of dogs. They almost look identical. And you know, so yes, we're seeing the beginning infancy stage of this.
Yeah, so I think it's coming sooner. Like I think that by 2030, you're not going to have cars. You're not going to have people driving cars unless you're very wealthy and you're in the club sort of thing. I think they're going to have everything automated. They're going to have driverless cars, obviously, driverless trucks. So the trucking industry is going to be wiped out. The automation is coming in through this. I've shown quite a bit of it over the past few months. Like for instance, I was showing in California how some of these delivery places, restaurants that are doing delivery, are using drones to deliver the food. This is already happening. Like it's strange because you'd think, well, you know, wouldn't that have to pass all kinds of legislation and stuff? Like, no, it's already happening. Like they already have drones that are delivering food. So they have like these, like I was showing these little tricycle type cars, very futuristic, looking like something out of Black Mirror sort of thing, that would the food would be delivered in that. While the food is being delivered, it's being scanned and cleared and zapped with UV rays and stuff like that to make sure there's no Kobe, of course, on the food that they're delivering. This is already happening right now. And so like the whole automation thing, because like I see it like it's like I have an article here too on this because that's why I'm mentioning it. Where do I have it here? Somebody had sent me something on this today, and it's pretty crazy because yeah, they already are talking about that as a possible solution to the inherent sort of racism that you have in cops. That I guess I don't have it here. I thought I did. But that the that automation or having robots potentially take over a lot of this duty, along with the same time where you have, for instance, you have the facial recognition all coming in, the drones, of course. So the drones have been huge in this, getting us accustomed to the drones here. I'm just going to take a look on Scroogle here to see what they're talking about with drones here in the news. But you see more and more every day, funded by Kevin Durant. Isn't this interesting? Look at this. Skydio, a drone startup backed by basketball player and investor Kevin Durant. And Kevin
See,
Durant,
this is amazing. You know, these NBA players are such Masonic puppets.
yeah, because
They love to use and by the way, the black people, okay, in general, the Freemasons, and these people love to use. This is why they're using them. Okay, they're going to use them to pull this whole thing off, and this is why they love to use them, because they have the influence through sports,
Yep.
and they can get the most people because of the youth that follow
Yeah.
sports and everything through, and successfully carry out their agendas through these.
Yeah, and you're right, especially with blacks. It's the NBA that so many of these kids grow up idolizing, and Kevin Durant is like, he's like one of the best players, right? I mean, he's a superstar, MVP, and he was one of the first NBA players to get frickin' Kobe as well as they, you saw that, right? When all the NBA players started to get it, starting with Rudy Gobert, and then it was I don't know who was after that, but Kevin Durant was one of the ones, and so here he is now with ex Google engineers, and they have a new startup drone. The drone startup scoring millions in American government surveillance contracts. So we're like, part of this new world order is just getting you accustomed to all these things, like the skies now where you go to the park, you're just going to get used to drones buzzing around. They're getting you accustomed to it, that you have no freedom. And it's all to keep you safer, of course. That's how they sell it, sort of thing. But yeah, it's not long. In fact, I think it was on my Twitter where it was being sent that. I'll just look here. I don't know if it was Phoenix Cat or somebody that sent me that before. Where was it here? Yeah, she did send it to me before, but it's a lot of things being sent here. Yeah, like RoboCop here. So Minneapolis City Council president says that Minneapolis Police Department will be dismantled and replaced with transformative new model of public safety. So, what's going on here? Problem, reaction, solution. So another thing that we're going to see completely change you're going to see it change forevermore, sort of thing, is law enforcement. And I think, like what I showed too with the Chinese. So I'll just put that in, the Chinese police helmets. They remind me of the drones on THX 1138. You have a similar sort of helmet system here. So they have these smart helmets that have computer systems in them. And the technology that they have in them can detect whether or not somebody has a temperature, fever, whether they might have Kobe, and can also identify you, of course, as well. And so it's just another example where the police are becoming our surveyors instead of being public servants that are here to, keep order and justice, sort of thing. They're becoming they're becoming these drones that are going to watch everything that we do. And we're going to live in this era where there's just no freedom, like just none, zilch. And so this type of tech, of course, is in the drones as well, where they're putting that all in. But it's just another example of how this is all moving. The Boston Dynamics dog sort of thing. Let's see the latest coming up with this, because they started with Singapore. Actually, they started here in Montreal. Did you see that when I covered that TM that was like, oh, geez, did I lose him? Hang on. No, he's there.
No, I'm here. I'm here, buddy.
Yeah, okay. So I covered this late last year, where Montreal, I'll just put this in to show you. And I talked about that Montreal Boston Dynamics here. Yeah, so yeah, it was okay. So it wasn't even that long ago. It was earlier this year. So okay, so this story I did a video on here. Robot dog to place human at Montreal construction site. So I talked about this and I said, this is exactly how they're getting you used to it, because they're like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, wow. Oh, those videos that you see on YouTube of the Boston Dynamics things, and now they're being implemented, and here they're being used in construction. So I said, this is something to pay attention to because they're getting you accustomed to this. This is how they do it. And then the next time we saw this guy, or at least that I can recall, was in Singapore. So you got to hear Boston Dynamics robot dog warns Singapore park goers not to get too close. Now, I've seen them here now. Seattle, I think. I don't know where, but they're somewhere here that they had started bringing them out as well. Oh, yeah, to spot sheep. So here was in, where was this? Let's see. Did they tell you where it is? New Zealand. So that they're using them in New Zealand now as shepherding sheep and stuff, right? So this is all, and then of course, if we look to the, so you know what the Boston Dynamics dog looks like. Here, I'll show you images of it, and then we compare it to the Black Mirror.
Yeah. You've seen the actual footage, the movie scenes, or that episode, excuse me?
Yeah, I did see that episode.
Yeah.
So the Boston Dynamics, or the yeah, somebody's got it here. They look very similar, except they put the yellow coloring, yellow and black, kind of hive coloring that they use here. And let's see if I can open this up in a bigger tab. Yeah, this is good here. So in the episode of Black Mirror, these things are used as to eliminate human beings.
Boy, that's uncanny, isn't it? Look at that. It's amazing.
It's and again, do you remember the Black Mirror episode that had the driverless pizza truck?
Yeah, where the girl is caught murdering. That's she got caught with.
Yeah, it had the racist diversity crap in it as well. That episode, which was, I believe, was called Crocodile. But
Sure. But I remember, yes.
So, driverless pizza delivery was announced the same time. It was announced right when that episode came out. Like the very same week, Pizza Hut came out and said, "Oh yeah, we've developed this." So here we've got Domino's. Yeah, this is it here. Domino's here.
Amazing.
Here it is, right? Now, this is all moving too because all our food is going to be prepared by robots as well. This is where it's all going. And a lot of this will deal with Kobe because they'll say, well, it's too uncleanly. It's just like the meat processing plants and all these things, right? So this automation thing is all being ushered in rapidly with what's going on. I'll see if I can get the we'll put driverless pizza, and I'll put Black Mirror episode here. So yeah, so this was it. Okay, so check this out. You can see here Pizza Hut, January the 8th, 2018. That's about when the episode came out. And right at the same time, Pizza Hut basically came out and said, yeah, we've got this driverless pizza truck that we're developing, sort of thing. This is IGN News here. And this is the episode of the Black Mirror. So it came out exactly the same time. So I don't even know if you call that predictive programming anymore. It's just, one day it's on your television, next day it's out on your streets, sort of thing. But this is how
to show you how they all work together and how deep it goes.
Yeah. It's all part of their massive plans. Like, this is all part of the New World Order. It's just one element of it, of course. But yeah, I think that we're heading towards that. So I find it interesting that RoboCop has been popping up everywhere these days. I think they had him in the new game there. Let's see here, news. Yeah, you see RoboCop here 13 hours ago, June 3rd here. Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat new game came out, had RoboCop. That was like the big news dealing with that. But you see all these stories dealing with RoboCop coming forth. I think that's where they're going. And there's a movie. Have you seen the movie Elysium?
No, I'm aware of it though.
I don't know if I spelled
Matt
it
Damon,
wrong.
of course, one of their go-to puppets.
In the movie Elysium, the the police are robots.
Oh yeah.
So they almost look like Boston Dynamics. Like if you look at the Boston Dynamics too, if you've seen that video, because there's a video where they're beating on Boston Dynamics robots and they're shooting at them. You see that one? It went super viral.
I did not.
I might be able to find that on Twitter. Let's see, Boston Dynamics. Let's just see what comes forth, because usually you'd find it tagged under something like that. But yeah, they've look at this. Look at this. What do we got here? They got a bunch of robots running. The latest Boston Dynamics robots scare the S out of me here. And this is them. I guess they're mad because I got the ad block on here. I'll take it off for a second. The Daily Squib here. So yeah, the new Boston Dynamics robots. Oh yeah, here's the I think this is another video. But you see, this is from 2018. Say robot abuse. If this is the video, I think there's a super viral video where they're abusing these robots. No, that's an old one here. It's more recent. Your new robot can fight back.
Right on it.
No, man, he might get angry. I don't know if you want to take your chances with AI. But yeah, you're seeing now these are some of the more latest models. I guess it's from 2019, so about a year ago, this one here. But there's another video that they showed that people were it was faked kind of thing, but it looked super real. And people were like violently abusing these robots, but they were also, very quick to move and counteract and sort of thing. It looked really creepy, but I think that they are moving towards this here. Where did I have the image there? So the Elysium robots here. So in the movie Elysium, the elites live on a ring world that orbits the Earth. So like a ring world, like that can simulate gravity. It's like a giant ring that spins around, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
it's like it's almost like a perfect paradise. Like there's lakes and rivers and stuff like that. And they all live up there, and all the dregs live on the surface. And the police force has been taken over. Is these types of robots that you see up on the screen here? So
Nice
yeah.
Saturn symbolism, living on a ring.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just put that in. I'll show you the ring here. I mean, it's not really. There's some interesting elements to. Isn't that interesting? Elysium's. I guess I got to put the movie in. Movie ring. So yeah, this is the ring world I was talking about. So. And they're talking about, Elon Musk and stuff. They're moving towards building these types of things eventually. That's probably 100 years away at least, though. But yeah, the film had that element to it. it's very interesting. Anyways, that is just something to throw in there. Let's get back to George Floyd here, though.
Yeah. If you want to get back, I have the links. In the,
Mhm.
in the
All right,
links
let me
there.
get the links there.
Okay. So we're talking about, we're talking about how they're going to, complete this and fully carry this out. They're going to continue agitating the crowds, the orchestrated chaos, as you have been talking about, and making the people more and more upset at police. So we talk about the police role in this New World Order agenda, right? And we all know that the police in general are
Yep, go ahead.
a Freemason tool of the New World Order to carry out this agenda. Okay, the police are just entrenched, just tied into the high echelon Freemason elite. Okay, this is why they're tools and goes in with the justice system and the police. This is how they are complicit and carry out all the psyops in every respective cities throughout the country. All the chiefs are on board, the police chiefs, etc. You know that.
Yep.
So of course they're going to be on board with this agenda, and we know that they're letting people start the riots. We know that they're lighting their own cars up, all this type of stuff. And then they're going to be playing to that. They're going to be, they're being given orders right now. It seems pretty clear to just agitate the crowds as much as possible, get them to hate them. Basically, they've been given a green light to initiate this war against us, which has been brewing for decades now with the with the resentment and anger and hatred towards police, and the sort of growing, sentiments towards police, the growing anti-police movements that have been growing. That's similar to, actually, case in point, the First Amendment auditing movement, which goes out there and films police, cop watchers everywhere. That's been a growing movement over the past decade, over the past several years, Jeff, if you've been noticing that. And so we have this growing movement filming police and been putting police, out there and attempting to expose the fact that they're being used as a New World Order tool to control us, to violate our rights, enslave us. And so you have that brewing, right? That brewing, festering anti-police mentality of the world, which rightfully so. They're a tool of the New World Order. But you see how it's going to play right to their hands, right to their benefit for this agenda to be carried out. So now, because people hate police at this moment, and that's going to play right into their hands to fully carry this. So we're going to see this. So now we see little staged psyops within psyops,
Yep.
like this one here. This one here seems pretty staged, Jeff. Let's take a look if you want.
Yeah,
and as you see here, tasing people, blatantly coverage, nationwide coverage, right? And this is a little viral story that just took place here.
This, now this news, of course, it's all Beast Media. They're wretched, awful. They're very much involved in well, obviously, Beast Media, right? I don't need to say more than that, but I covered them a lot. So yeah, we've got this video here. Atlanta police tase students driving home from George Floyd protest. All right.
You better go to jail. Where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? Just drive on.
I noticed, though, that he doesn't have his door locked. Did he make an attempt to lock his door after the police tried to open it? I don't know, right? That girl that's crying, I guess it's a girl. I mean, it's get over yourself. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just like it's it's just like she's being murdered or something, right? They're gonna kill her. They're gonna feed her to the lions. No, please. But
Where you gonna go? Just drive on. Come on, man. Let him go. Let him go.
and they got the police too with the gas mask on, eh? And these are the spooky looking gas masks.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to bring that up a little bit here, which was the Bank of America murals, which seem to be manifesting right before our eyes, but it kind of reminds me of that. Anyways, we'll keep it going here.
You can't go nowhere. You can't go nowhere. You can't go nowhere. Hey, give me a hand. Give me a hand. Hit the window. Open the window. Open the window. Get the car. Let the car park. Let the car park. Let the car park. Let it park. Let the car park. Hit the outlaw. Hit the outlaw. Hit the outlaw. Hit the outlaw. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down.
Pilgrim and Messiah. Did you catch that?
I did not actually.
That's very interesting. 20-year-old
Yeah, that's
Tania.
hilarious.
But like it looks like it's real, so I'm not questioning that it's real, but that this part could be a part of their script because they love to code that stuff in. But yeah, more terror, and it just feeds into the whole, you know, police of the enemy, or
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they're doing that right now because they want it to brew as each day passes. They want it to brew more and more to pave the way here. Soon, shortly, it seems like they're going to bring in this some type of martial law to minimum. I think you would agree.
Yeah.
So this is what it seems like it's all been leading up to. This race war agenda, civil unrest agenda. Have the cops be that tool to bring it in. You know, with the people against cops and everything. So now we're seeing that. So we're seeing that. I think this is definitely staged though with these two guys, Jeff. The second link I sent you,
Yeah.
they did their press conference rounds and all this crap. So this definitely seems staged to me. But no doubt it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to be staging incidents like this within this whole psyop. So there you go.
Is this?
To
Is
me,
there anything more from this that we need to see?
yeah,
or
the second link I sent you is
okay. Yeah. No. I just meant
with these two individuals.
this video though. Is this video? Can we move on from this one, or do you want scene?
Exactly. The second separate
Okay.
link is yeah.
The second link. Oh, look at these
With
two.
these yeah, here we go. You know,
Oh,
to
gosh.
me, they seem to be clearly on board with this little thing to again, you know, brew up some more insight, some more emotions here.
Interesting. Okay.
Morehouse community and the entire Atlanta University Center, Clark Atlanta University, Spelman College, and Morris Brown as well. In this time of injustice, it feels good to know that I have a support system that understands the severity of this and understands that change does need to come.
Yeah.
Secondly, to all the institutions worldwide, to anyone aware of this problem, aware of the mistreatment, the hostility, the just wrongdoing of what occurred on Saturday.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you notice what's going on his back?
What's that?
Can you spot that? He's being rubbed here.
Oh, by the I think by the woman right there. Yes.
Yeah. That's something that we've seen a lot of times with these crisis actors, right? That Cassidy Stay being a great example. Many others that this type of thing goes on. Yeah, obviously people that are buying it will just say, "Oh, he's just supporting him," but it's a common thing that they do because these people are nervous, sort of thing, so they have to kind of. But you notice, like, remember when you showed way back with the Sandy Hook and or Handy Sook or whatever it was called, and the little girl that was being assaulted, right? They do that type of stuff, right? So, but yeah, these guys look like they're dressed up for the part here. I mean, like,
this seems totally scripted, Jeff. I mean, that's come on
Yeah.
now. Well, they have already that fast have time to go out, press conferences, mayors talking about it. You know, within all this chaos, you
Yeah.
have this theatrics with this nonsense. I don't believe it for a second. So it's
You have the
scripted to say the least.
young pilgrim and the Messiah here,
Yeah, and the names.
or the young Messiah and the pilgrim.
It's just
Also, the fact that this guy has no mask on, but everybody else has a mask on. Right? I mean, it's just silly. It's all silly, of course.
yeah, it's quite silly.
This woman has her sunglasses under the mask. You know, that is like, what?
Well, obviously the wardrobe department for this little show was a little off here, and they're off in the
It doesn't
game.
matter though. People are dumb, like people are dumb. But yeah, we'll play the rest of it here. Hear the script.
To everyone that supports that and understands, thank you. It truly means something to me that I have a backing, because honestly, this has probably been one of the hardest things that I've ever experienced in my life. With that being said, it's great to know that so many people are aware of this. And at the end of the day, it's a blessing that I'm alive and here to talk with you, here to express just everything that's occurring at this moment. And that will continue to occur. This isn't
Terrible.
just about me. This isn't just about us. This is an entire generation that has to deal with brutality and injustice and wrongdoing for nothing because of the color of their skin or simply because what they preference, or like my father said, originality, So at the end of the day, I am just very thankful for the support for you all, and we will get through this together. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that's bad crisis acting. So yeah, I would suggest that that it's all being staged. Even the whole takedown there, probably. It's not hard to do these things, really, right? You just we're going to look scary.
Look how much money is involved. They think they can participate in this quite easily. I mean, very easily. It's
and you got all this
drive down.
You
pretend you're in distress. Go ahead.
You get all this back and forth. I mean, like again, the girl there that was crying, I guess that's her here. I mean, it's like she's being fed to the lions. It's like, no, you're just being arrested, right? I mean, she's like in that video. She's like, oh, please don't, please don't, please let me go, please. It's like, yeah, come on. I mean, get over yourself, all right? It's just getting arrested. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I've been arrested several times, right? I mean, I shouldn't say that, but but yeah, it just seems like a lot of theatrics, right? It's a theatrical sort of production that and then the typical crisis actor. You look at he had his hair permed for the whole thing here.
Yeah. So yeah, Jeff, this is a very viral. This is an extremely viral story that just, of course, gets lost in the shuffle because there's so many different things going on right now. But this is another example.
Yeah, exactly.
Another big example. I'm sure there's a couple other things and the videos going around right now that we haven't got to yet. So.
Yeah, exactly. I see so much of this. Now they play different sides where on some of these videos they're you see the cops that are kneeling with the people, right? You see the soldiers that are going on one knee and stuff like that. So, but then conversely, they've got all the violent sort of things. And again, what I try to get through to folks here is that you have tons of staging. Like I showed a ton of it in my shows, where they're using crisis actors, where they're setting up scenes. Like I showed one where they had a interracial couple. One girl had a pretty big nose, couldn't keep the nose in the freaking mask, and her fat boyfriend, who was colored, right? And they were just happened to be there when Fox News was there and other media, standing in front of a public building that was being, the glass was being broken by people that were trying to break in or something like that. Those are just examples. But you have all this stuff. So you have a lot of legit video that is happening of just chaos, right? All the looting, the burning, those things are real. Sometimes they're created by agent provocateurs. A lot of the looting and stuff obviously is just happening. People are taking advantage. There's a lot of street gangs. I've watched so much footage of it, like aerial footage and all kinds of, not just what I've shown, but I've watched a lot on my own sort of thing. And I've seen in Oakland, in San Jose, in Los Angeles, and in many other cities, from aerial footage, the choreographing of what looks like street gangs that are targeting businesses. Like they know exactly, they do the same thing here. Montreal, like when the riot was it was the march that was happening here, they strategically chose Steve's music store, which is a musical instrument store, to target, because that's like if you're going to hit a store, right? If you're going to hit a store, like you'd hit Apple, right, for instance, or you'd hit like a music store that has musical instruments, because that's where big money is. Like you steal a few guitars and you've got like $10,000 worth of stuff. You steal a couple iPhones, right? You can sell those quickly on the black market, sort of thing. So like there are strategic targets that are being used, and a lot of choreographing with street gangs. And this is nothing new. This has always been done. Riots here in this city, we have so many of them, and I've been in so many of them, and I've seen this type of coordination being used. People using walkie-talkies, waiting for the right moment to hit certain businesses and all that. So you have all kinds of different elements that are at play. You have theatrics, you have real police violence. There's no question. There's police that are ramming into people. I've seen some of your videos that you've compiled a lot of this together and showed a lot of the chaos. Then you've got other videos of police that are, embracing the protesters or going down on a knee and protesting with them, sort of thing. You've got all these different things that are going. Now, what happens is these things can be used in all different. So for the left-right paradigm, right, the two basic groups that have many different levels and extremes to them, but I'm saying the left and the right. All this sort of video and information can be used and can be strategically positioned to push people further into whatever camp they're in. So if you're in the camp, for instance, that police are like the all police are bastards, or whatever it's called, all cops are bastards, right? That's the ACAB or ASAB. You know that slogan that's all around? Have you seen that? TM, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I haven't. I was muted.
Okay, I'll just show you that, for instance, because that's what ASAB, right? All cops are bastards. And you'll see all over the protest this slogan being used. Now, there's Black Lives Matter, of course, with the fist, which is the same fist that they use for feminism, and they use for the LGBT, and they use for communism, and for so many different other things. And it's belligerent, of course. But the all cops are bastards goes around. So there's that element of people that are on that level of extremity that believe that all police are bad, period. And they just want to fight the police. And then you've got other levels that, oh no, the police need to be reformed, or the police need to go through decent, or what would they call it? racial sort of profiling and, whatever types of things they do to scan people or screen people. And then they do all the education sort of things to teach police about inherent bias and, get that out of their system and all these different things. But you have all these different groups that are functioning, that are using this information that's coming off these videos, especially in photos and whatnot. So much of what's being reported is just slices. And what we have, like on Twitter, for instance, is often you get a slice of a video and you don't have the whole thing, and people go crazy with it, right? So you see a slice where maybe a police is brutally taking down a black person, for instance, right? But you don't see what happened before that, right? And you have a lot of this. And so these things can just be sliced up strategically to push certain narratives. So it's like, the image that is used. Okay, so I'll put media manipulation, for instance, and I'll just show you that. This is the one that really kind of has a good sort of representation. Oh, why is it so small? Just looking for a big image here. Is this bigger? Yeah, this one. Okay. Okay, so you see here. Can you see this, by the way?
I can. Yeah.
Okay. So the cameraman is here and he's filming this, and it looks like this person is engaging in violence on this person, but it's only capturing this amount of the image, and this is really just the guy's foot, and this guy is actually going after him with a gun. But because, you only get partial images. So there's a lot of this. Here's another one with the police here, where this is a good example here, where you've got the soldiers, right? So you're going to have a picture where it's sliced, where you've got a gun to the guy's head, or you're going to have a picture where there's more of it, where you've got a gun to the guy's head, but you got a soldier giving him water, or you can slice it where it's just the soldier giving the water. And this is how everyone's played. This is media manipulation 101. It's this how it works.
Yeah, that's an iconic image there.
Yeah, it's a good way of explaining when you don't have all the facts, but it doesn't matter, because most people are just they're here for confirmation bias. They just want to see what they believe. So if you believe that all cops are bastards, then all you want to see is police being brutal. Well, that's all you're going to see, because that's all you'll be in that loop. And there's endless amounts of information coming in that are showing that. So like the Antifa type of people, that's all they're going to see. They don't care about this type of stuff here, right? They don't want to see police doing good kind acts, so they won't see it anyways, because it won't get to them, because they're going to be in their little camp, and their camp is just going to get anything that shows police violence and slice it so there's nothing else but the police violence. There's also a lot of misinterpreted videos that go super viral. One of the ones that I saw was of a police car that the police were smashing the windshield in. And people were saying, look, police are it was Antifa. And they were saying police are smashing in their own vehicles to blame it on Antifa, or blame it on Black Lives Matter, for instance, right? But the reality is that there's video that was cut from that, which was from before, which showed a whole bunch of Antifa and BLM smashing the crap out of the car. So it's more likely that the police were just taking out the windshield that was destroyed. That's a common thing that you do when you have a vehicle that you have to move and you might have to drive it or something. You remove the windshield. So that's probably just what they're doing. There's another one that I got, which is all over Twitter, which is with the bricks. I'm going to see if I can bring that up here. I'll just put that in. I'll put bricks. And probably will...
bricks.
Yes, so the bricks, we know they're laying these things out, right? And this is the video here. This is it. So I'm glad you get to see this now.
There you go. And they love this. It's like a double whammy, because at the same time they can carry out the chaos agenda, while simultaneously project their symbolism.
Yeah, so this one here, I don't think you need to hear the audio, because they're saying, what the hell are they doing? What the hell? So it's police. That's a police pickup truck here. And they're taking out bricks out of the truck, and they're stacking them here on the side. So what happened here, this one went super viral. It was all over. This isn't the same one here, the same tweet, but this tweet's been seen, or this video's been seen millions of times. It's all over. Now, this is an example of limited information where, you know, so what the Antifa and BLM and all them are pushing is, or not even Antifa, but BLM and co, because Antifa, of course, are setting up these brick piles. BLM and Antifa are setting up, like they are doing this, right? And I know police are involved in torching some of their own vehicles and stuff like that as well. But what you have here is the claim that, oh, the police are actually putting out these brick piles with this video. Now, this video, I went, because I was concerned, I was going to make a video on it. I'm like, okay, are the police actually putting out bricks? And although I can't confirm 100%, what I was able to confirm is this is actually a police station. It's a police depot, and it appears that they had picked up the bricks. So they had found one of these brick depots, and they loaded them in the truck, and then they brought the truck back, and then they were taking them out. So it's more than likely that they removed the bricks because they knew the bricks were going to be used. I mean, the bricks are likely going to be used against police anyways, so it makes sense, right? But it doesn't matter because this already, you know, the lie goes halfway around the world before the truth is even heard. This goes around and people see what they want to see. So all the BLM and Antifa and all the people that hate the police are thinking the police are behind this and the police are doing this on purpose. And so you see what I mean when it comes to how it doesn't really matter, like, what is coming forward. Even with George Floyd, for instance, right? The video itself, we could prove categorically that the whole thing is staged. Like, hypothetically, you know, even though nobody, to my knowledge, has been able to categorically prove it, although some people have presented some pretty compelling things, and there are definite things to scrutinize about the video. You know, if you're asking me point blank, do I believe that George Floyd died there? I'd be like, no, I think we're being manipulated. I think, right, that there's some very high tech. I mean, this is, if you think about it, TM, this is okay. We know it's orchestrated, right? We know that, right? We can agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If we think about the significance of this is on a Rosa Parks level. This is bigger than Rodney King. It's on a Rosa Parks type of thing. Like, this is a complete game changer when it comes to how important that video is, because that video has created chaos around the world. So that video is something that could have been highly produced. You could make that for a movie, and you would watch it in a movie and it would be horrific, right? But then you would know it's a movie. But they can make these things in movies and you can say, okay, yeah, but it's a movie, right? Even though you don't know how they were able to fake it, right? They still are able to do it. It's like when you watch, like, you know, I'm a big fan of special effects in movies, right? So I really like practical effects. I'm not a big fan of CGI. And I like movies like The Thing and like the aforementioned RoboCop and stuff like that are able to, you know, show, say, shocking violence or something, or, you know, like really amazing sort of makeup and special effects that trick your mind, or not even tricking your mind, because it's not like CGI where they're actually trying to, where they're actually using computers, which is a totally different thing. But that the makeup is so good, and that the puppeteering is so advanced and so perfectly carried out that you see it and it's like, wow. And then you're like, how did they do that? Like, how did they make that scene? Like, there's still so many movies from like the 80s and even the 70s and stuff where you'd be like, wow, the special effects are incredible. They still hold up to today. Well, what's to say that what you saw with George Floyd wasn't just a movie, right? You don't know. We don't know. So we could have all been fooled, or much of the world could have been fooled by a very strategically done, hyper realistic movie, basically. But you're not going to be able to prove it either way. And people see what they want to see. So most people are going to see it as 100% real. They're not going to question it. And even if you were able to come in and prove it that it was staged or faked or done on a Hollywood set or whatever, first and foremost, you'd be censored, right? They take your videos down. Secondly, no, you would never be able to reach critical mass because we don't control the media, and the media is evil as FUCK, right? So it almost doesn't matter. It's out of our control. Like
Exactly right. And then people say, well, but he's dead though. You know, they can't wrap their head around the fact that it's quite possible for people to participate in these and then lead other lives, go live somewhere else, and especially when they've become wealthy off of something like this, which of course has happened, as exactly what we have here with the GoFundMe. What are they? Tens of millions of dollars now, this family?
Let's check it out.
Okay, Jeff, how many millions? You talk about the question. Why would they go along with this? Well, I'll tell you, there's millions of reasons why they would go along with it. Why would the family go along with it? Why would he agree to, I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
13 million.
$13 million, Jeff. Can they be a willing participant in allowing this to be staged? Of course.
Of course.
Get
There's
out of here, man.
13 million reasons why. And that's just one.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
So yeah, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I mean, come on, look. So you're talking about, so what? How do these people lead other lives? Yeah, you have millions of dollars, you can go lead another life. Or they may indeed sacrifice or kill someone in one of these things. Either way, you have a family that'll be well off for the rest of their lives, and they will gladly go along with this. You have people who are who will easily sell out for this money.
Yeah, exactly.
Without question.
It's money how they're able to do most of these things, folks. Again, right? You know, so we used to do the hoax busting thing where we would scrutinize every little detail and find all the fakery and stuff like that. But you're not even allowed to do that first and foremost these days, and it doesn't really matter because we're beyond that point now where it doesn't matter if they have a shooting and you're able to categorically prove it's fake as FUCK. You're not going to be allowed to get viral. They're going to take down your videos. They're going to take down your account. They're going to ban you, and then or they're going to debunk you with their Snopes and Mick West and all that crap, right? Which they always do, right? So we're in that situation now where they're going to do what they're going to do, and people are going to react. And the only thing that we can collectively do is try to reach as many people as possible and convince them that, guess what? It's all the beast. And if it's coming from the beast, it's for no good. If it's coming from the beast, it's here to destroy us. It's here to pit us against each other. Anything that comes from the beast is the beast, right? It's there for a reason. It's look, right? They have that. They want you to see that. They want you to be traumatized. One of the amazing things that you could say too about George Floyd that throws all the YouTube guidelines out the window is nobody got censored for posting the George Floyd video. And it's like, what? YouTube specifically states in their guidelines that you cannot post violence or people dying or, people being murdered. That is like one of the most explicit things that they have in their guidelines. And yet everyone's allowed to post this. Why? Because they want you to see it. They want it everywhere. They want everyone to see it. And so therefore then the fix is on, of course. We all know the fix is on. And it's one of those things. How did they do it? Well, I could say the same thing about, John Carpenter's The Thing. How did they do that? How did they have the walking head and the frickin', the chess scene and all those things? They're just, wow, they're incredible. They're so well done. Well, that's Hollywood, right? I mean, that's what they specialize in. They're amazing at creating these types of things. They could have trained it out. Maybe George Floyd,
I can't breathe.
Yeah, maybe he's just he's in good shape. I mean, he's a strong guy. He's a big guy. Maybe it's not really hurting him, but he's just really good at acting it out. And he was able to fake it out. Maybe that's possible. Yeah, absolutely. And then they just practice it over and over again till they get it right. And then they have it, and they're like, "Let's go." And then and again, how do you know that's not filmed in a studio? Well, you could say, "Well, there's a street corner, there's a garbage can, there's all that, there's a store across the street," but still, the level of sophistication when it comes to green screens, blue screens, all the CGI and everything is so beyond anything that we've ever seen now. Right. So these things are very sophisticated. Anyways, we waste our time trying to, prove that something's real or fake, because it doesn't really matter, because it's the cat's out of the bag. It's already made its huge impact. And now we're living in the fallout and, trying to convince people. Of course, the old saying, I think it's Mark Twain or whatever. It's like, it's far more easier to lie to people than convince them that they've been lied. Right. People hate when they emotionally invest themselves in something. Like, that's the worst, because this is the cognitive dissonance that we all run into, is when somebody is emotionally invested themselves in an event, and then you come and tell them, oh yeah, that's actually didn't happen. Like, this is what happened with Sandy Hook, for instance, where a lot of friends and family and stuff, they were so traumatized by what they saw on the television that when they had somebody like me coming and saying, you know what, that's all, make-believe sort of thing, they were so offended. They're just, because they have emotionally invested themselves in the event, that it's almost futile to try to reach those people, because they've already, given themselves emotionally to the event. And that's then the old saying comes in. It's far easier to lie to somebody than to convince them that they've been lied to, right? Because they hate that. They absolutely do. So,
And
yeah,
you know what? To that point, Jeff, like, that's a good point to bring up as far as attempting to point this out to people, maybe out there on the streets. Maybe you go to one of these quote unquote protests, riots. You go to one of these things. Imagine, let's say me or you were out there, and we're telling people, hey, this is staged. This was staged. George Floyd worked with the cop. This and that, this and that. You telling them these facts out there, we might get attacked. We might get attacked because they're so emotionally invested in this and psychologically manipulated here, and psychologically just pummeled, that there's just no chance. We stand no chance. I mean, we might get killed.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
People would get violent with you because they would be, again, that's it. Again, it's all emotions, right? Look, this whole George Floyd thing, it's all about emotions. It's emotional manipulation. They've been programming you forever. When I talk about the programming for the virus, like, oh my God, both me and TM were the two, probably the two top guys exposing the whole Ebola thing back in 2014. So we had already experienced so much of what they have done with this type of fakery when it comes to pandemics. And we covered so much of all the predictive programming that had been put out for years and years and years and years. What people don't realize is it's not just the event itself that's about the emotional trauma. It's all the years of programming, all the Hollywood movies, the television shows, the video games, the books, the New York Times bestsellers, the talk shows, the radio, right? Like, it's all, that's how their black magic works, is that they condition your mind into this fear and this fear and this fear and this fear and this feeling. And then all of a sudden, finally, they hit you with it. And then you're lockstep, because you have long ago bought into it. You have long ago already, given into the fear of an invisible enemy. You've already bought into it hook, line, and sinker, so that when it comes, and then you think that you have free will, right? But you don't really, because the reason why you have bought into it hook, line, and sinker is because you have been in the New World Order, because the New World Order has programmed you for decades into having that sentiment. So it's not like, say, the Kobe thing. It's not like it just came out of nowhere and everybody bought into it because, they did a really convincing job. No, it's often the decades of programming, all the other H1N1, all the other scamdemics that they had the Ebola, for instance, and so many others, right? That already put you in that mindset. You had already been programmed for so many years. The movies, Contagion, Outbreak, all these, like all the Walking Dead, all these different things that insert these things into their plot lines that make you already buy into that fear that, oh my God, this could really happen. This is the big threat. So it's a lot to do, like so much of what we suffer from. And just like with this racism here, so much of his, I can tell you about Tamir Rice. I can tell you about a bunch of the other ones. What was one of the other ones? Scott Walker. I could tell you about a lot of these shootings because I covered them. TM covered a lot of these too. A lot of these, almost all the high profile shootings, Trayvon Martin, another one, almost all of them are concocted. Almost all of them, folks. Just like all the school shootings. See, when you think about it, right? When Chunk Yogurt or Wolf Blitzer or, even say President Trump or before him, Obama, right? When they start talking about what the problem is, they'll name it off. Tucson. They'll say Sandy Hook. They'll say Parkland. They'll say all the ones that we know, TMF and I, and many others that are listening to this, that were completely staged. And the same thing with these racist shootings, these high-profile racist shootings involving cops and black people. So many of them have been Hollywood productions that have been specifically done to lead up to this narrative, that they could stack all these together and they could say, there's this one, there's that one, and then say their names. Well, they say the same thing when it comes to all the shootings. They say the names of the shootings, right? Say, and then you just list them off one after another, right? And it's all the ones that they staged. It's not that there aren't real police killings, and it's not that there aren't racist cops, and that there aren't cops that are just awful, and that they will just blow away a black person if they had an opportunity and stuff like that. That does happen. It does exist. But most of the biggest ones, the ones that they all stack together, are all part of their theatrics. So they have set this narrative up. Now, the Rodney King thing is real. I mean, because you can see it's real, right? I mean, they beat the living tar out of him. So that's going back like 20, 30 years. I think it was like 1992 or something like that, right? And that would be a real example of horrible, brutal police violence against somebody. But it's only part of the story because the guy was a criminal and he was into all kinds of things and all that. But that doesn't justify what was done. But what I'm trying to say is basically all these narratives this is how the beast works. The beast works by setting these narratives up and programming you for years and years and years. And then boom, the big one comes. And that's when the whole beast media rises up and pushes everybody, and then the big divide and conquer happens as you have the conservative elements and the leftists and the right going against each other and playing different storylines. So yeah, we're all being manipulated. I mean not all of us, hopefully, but you know what I mean, like all of everybody. Yeah, most people are watching this stuff. Most people are buying into it, and this is how it works. So the people
Jeff, I'll go ahead and wager to say that because I did go and revisit the Rodney King thing, and there are some circles that have some research on some different sites you can look at as well. It seems that may be staged as well. So I don't. Who knows though? But definitely they use that as a definite catalyst to push that, regardless. And O.J. Simpson is without a doubt pretty much the JFK, JFK of the staged race war, psyop for that. And that's the I believe that's the pinnacle, the benchmark, right, for their race war script. And that the OJ, of course, you have all the 33s and the Masonic connection coding, and that was, that's the example they go to. That's like their handy sook. That's their handy sook, OJ. They always go back to, people always go back. That's ingrained in their minds forever. And that's sort of, brood of all these years, right, leading up to this point. This is the power that it does, in the planted in the seeds in the subconscious mind, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, just giving this as an example here, which is, again, you cannot make this up. All right. Of course, George Floyd here, it's just crazy because, like, I wish it wouldn't switch to the video here. I'll see if I can refresh it and just stop it. Okay, there. Okay, see? So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I can't stop it, but you see the image that they show, right? So if I go back here, stop this stupid idiot.
With the corona?
Yeah, because I mean, they're announcing that he has coronavirus, and they're actually showing the photo of him next to the corona. They rub it in your face, like they are literally rubbing it in your face. So I guess, well, one thing you could say is that he definitely didn't die of the suffocation then, because everybody that gets corona dies of corona. You know.
Yeah.
It's so insane though. I mean, you have to be a retard, right? I mean, but go ahead.
Can we talk about how we think, how we are going to, what you predict is going to play out here with this narrative, with the cops that have been charged, and how they're going to basically blow the lid off of this thing so that it can escalate to that next level?
Well, they
Total
yeah,
chaos and purge. So what do you think that?
well, they changed the charge now to second degree murder. Okay, so and all the BLM and that hideous shill from hell, Reverend Al Sharpton. I mean, if there's ever been a scumbag, liar, crook, it's that disgusting puke. I mean, that guy is one of the biggest frauds out there. I can't stand it when I see his face. I hate that guy. But okay, so they're all calling for nothing but first degree murder. Okay, so you got to understand though, first degree murder is premeditated murder. So you can't see. Okay, so think about this. So they've changed the verdict. Okay, so I'll just put that in. I'll put second degree here. And of course, they'll give us that second degree murder. See, it comes up right away. Second degree, all four former officers charged now face these charges, right? They've all been bumped up now to second degree. So, but this isn't enough because everyone is demanding it's first degree. So guess what they'll do is they'll probably eventually cave in and put first degree. But then what will happen, of course, in the phony kangaroo court, whatever the fake court that they're going to have, you can't convict these people of first degree because there's no premeditation. It's impossible for it to be premeditated because it was just an arrest. The only way that they could prove that it's premeditated is that if they play the whole saga that these two worked together for 17 years or something stupid like that, right, at the same bar doing security, and somehow they had a beef, right? So you could see that narrative played out. But what could happen is that these officers, just like the four officers? I don't know. I know there's a bunch of them that were allegedly beaten on Rodney King, but the four officers,
just like O.J. Simpson,
Yeah. The four
acquitted, acquitted.
Yeah.
They won't see jail time, and guess what's going to happen? The world
riots, the burn, the people would go
insane. That's it. A purge initiated. This is what I think is going to happen, Jeff. This is what I was trying to bring the point to this scenario. This is how I think it's going to play out, and it seems quite obvious. They've said that's what they're setting up.
That's exactly it. So that the whole, you see here, family attorney reacts to the upgrade, should be first degree, right?
There it is.
Minnesota hasn't ruled out first degree. So watch them try to push for a first degree, and then the officers get acquitted, and then chaos. And they'll strategically time it, like whenever their kangaroo court bullcrap's going to go on, right? They'll have it go off, and then it'll be a powder keg. They'll set it up, and they'll have everyone in place, because then you'll have millions probably taking to the streets. You know how it'll work. They'll put the big screens up in the city centers, for people to watch the trial, just like they did with O.J. Simpson kind of thing. And then they'll have the fallout as he gets
exactly. This is what I was afraid of, And as soon as I saw that narrative with the cops, that they actually are charged and charged with murder, I said, no way. Okay, I see how this is going to be played. So, you know, it's all quite predictable, really. If you look at
Yeah.
it.
And I think the whole OJ thing is fake as a $3 bill. I don't believe any of the story. I think the whole
Yeah,
thing was
exactly.
scripted, right? And he's just playing out his role. That's why he gets to play golf all day and he hangs out with celebrities and stuff. And they probably know, ha 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 ha, you know, behind the scenes that it was all staged. But here he is. It's up to the police to change their ways. Of course, OJ Simpson rising up again. And again, what OJ Simpson does is he pushes the divide and conquer because they don't all, it's not all going to be blacks or whites beating on blacks. They're going to push blacks killing whites as well because they need to keep people all in their camps. They want to give stuff that's going to inflame the white groups and the MAGA and stuff like that, right? That they can control. This is the way it works, folks. It doesn't all go one way. It certainly doesn't. It goes all over. Like some days it's MAGA that gets all the gifts, and the next day it's the BLM and Antifa that get all the gifts, right? That's the way it goes with the New World Order. They're driving people into the different sides, right? And then into the extremes. And they're and this is how they control the masses. And they just inflame you. And then like characters like this, like OJ Simpson, it never ends. And it's like everyone buys into it. So you have to live the rest of your life with, OJ, just like Epstein didn't kill himself. That's another psyop, folks. Another total bullcrap psyop, right? They set these things up. And then the only conspiracy that you're allowed to flaunt around and everyone says, well, all I know is Epstein didn't kill himself. Well, actually, you don't know anything because you've been manipulated by the media and again into a fake story, basically a staged sort of operation, right?
Oh, it's such a joke how obvious the Masonic coding in O.J. Simpson, the Freemason script here with the sentence to 33 years. He stole $33. I mean, it goes on, and the 33
his
coding
name, orange
is in his
juice.
name, orange. It's in his
Yeah.
freaking name.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
this is again the Masonic race war benchmark, the 9/11 of race war psyops, O.J. Simpson. So that sets the stage. That, and then you had the precursor to that, Rodney King. But yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the stories just with OJ Simpson, 33 million. And these are just recent ones. There's 33 years, 33 million, 33.5, 33%. It just goes on. Coronavirus has even OJ Simpson wearing gloves. OJ Simpson was sentenced to 33, of course. And then you've got Kurt Warner, Eric Dixon, nearly 33 points per game during the regular Simpson, which is the new, I guess, like that. And then, of course, OJ Simpson comes up and all that. But yeah, that's how it works. And with the blacks, yes, it's Freemasonry for the most part. That's where they all come in. I mean, we know, right? I mean, certainly in the NBA, it's no secret. Like a lot of them just come forward. I mean, it is a secret. It's not a secret that, say, Shaquille O'Neal's a Freemason or Magic Johnson's a Freemason. They come out.
Steven Jackson's dad.
Is Steven Jackson as well? Probably.
Steven Jackson hasn't hasn't admitted he is one himself, but he's publicly posted that his dad was one.
Oh, well, that's it. There you go. Then you know for sure.
But yeah,
Check this out. Jackson caption. My father's Mason brothers 33 gave me something to cherish. Salute to all his Mason brothers.
Yeah, that was in my video, Jeff.
Oh, it's Larry Johnson. So Larry Johnson, again, I mentioned him before. He's he's another fishy character.
He's a fishy character for sure. But of course, and he's been quite active with this situation here. He's been making posts. So I don't know. Make of it what you will with him, but.
Oh, there's no way that guy's a total shill for sure, without a doubt. But he's going to play his angle because he's got to play the conspiracy role, and he's going to push the Freemason thing, which is okay because it's true to a certain extent. But then you'll mix it with all these other things that are completely ridiculous, right? But
I'm not too familiar with him, but that's exactly right.
Yeah, I've covered him a few times. Back when Kobe happened, that was when he was really on the scene. So I won't get into it, but he's all connected to the whole gematria thing, right? So they're that's their thing. But yeah, Steven Jackson, of course. Steven Jackson is one of the big players in this whole event. He's supposed to be the twin, of course. And if you put that in, Steven Jackson, of course, 3-3 is a twin in itself, right? The 3 and the 3. It's, but yeah, you see the twin, George Floyd, Steven Jackson twin, right? And I wonder with twin, you can just put that in, see what's coming up with twin here. Twin Peaks, of course. Twin RCMP officers leaving residence scene double. That's pretty funny. But yeah, a lot of twin things that are coming up in the media. And is it still Gemini right now? No, it's not anymore, right? But yeah, twin officers. But yeah, this is all part of their coding. And they got Twin Earth here. That's interesting, from 13 hours ago. WEF, World Economic Forum, to hold Twin Summit in January. Interesting. Identical twins. There's some really interesting stuff that's springing up with this. But yeah, this is the photo that they always show, of course, which is him here dressed in black, right, with the Corona bottle right next to him.
That reminds me of the iconic Duncan, the Ebola green Duncan. That's the photo they used to show for the Ebola, and then they had the iconic, picture.
Oh yeah. What's his name? The guy with the 3, Thomas Eric Duncan or something like that.
They love the 3 names.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So is it, what was his name again? This is Thomas Eric.
Thomas Eric Duncan.
Duncan. Yeah. Okay. So let's just show you that. Which, yeah. Every photo of him has this green shirt in it. It's just insane, of course. And if you don't know who Thomas Eric Duncan is, there's, what's her name? Nina Pham, or what is that her name? Remember her?
Yeah, Nina Pham, yeah.
Nina Pham. So yeah, back in 2014, me and Red Pill were exposing this massively.
She got Ebola and then saw Obama 2 days later, and
a
couple days later, and hugging him, photo op. But
yeah, and she was in her hospital bed, and she had, like, her hair looked like it had just been done, and she had makeup on and stuff, and I was like, and she looked very healthy and happy, and it's like, aren't you, like, supposedly got Ebola?
Yeah. Well, the narrative was that she just got cured. So right after she was cured, like right after, immediately go hug Obama. That's what happened.
What I was showing is that all of Ebola, whenever they were showing it, they would show a black person with a green shirt, basically. That was the green programming coding with it. And it got ludicrous, like how they did it. The worst one, I wish I could find the video, TM, but you probably remember this. I think it was Fox News. And it was when it was really peaking, and they had 2 girls, like attractive, radio or TV personalities for Fox, and they were both wearing the neon green dresses, and they were sitting right next to each other, and they brought them on, and they couldn't hold, like, they had so much duping delight that they were laughing while the host was introducing them. It was so insane. Remember the girl she was winking with one eye, and she had it's just there's just so much.
Oh yeah, that was quite bizarre with the winking. Yes, I remember.
And she was wearing the green, of course, as well. But yeah, that's how media manipulation works. And yeah, that was the first alleged American to have. He was the guy that brought over Ebola to United States. So this is the Thomas Eric Duncan character who had more names than he had shirts. This is the only photos you ever see of him, is when everybody was wearing this bright neon green at their launch of their Ebola party or Ebola party. But yeah, that's just another example of media manipulation that. And then here, again, the independent autopsy finds George Floyd died of homicide. Now, you see how they changed that, right? So they had the official autopsy, or the first autopsy that was done, and they said, oh, he died of a heart failure due to whatever, right? Like he had they said it was unrelated to his
Unrelated to asphyxiation.
Yes.
So, or
And what
not
happened with
asphyxiation.
that?
Now, yeah.
What happened with that is all the MAGA maggots came out and said, "See, he didn't even die." Right?
Exactly.
And then, of course, and then people react to that because then all the people in the BLM, Antifa, and all the people that have been programmed by, you know, the Black Lives Matter and into that mentality are horrified because there's no way that he died of heart failure or something like that. We clearly see he was killed. Well, then what happens a couple days later is they have an independent autopsy, and of course the independent autopsy confirms that he died of asphyxiation. So you see how this is how they play people. They put out different narratives and people go crazy with it, and then there's all these reactions, and it feeds certain camps and certain narratives, and then all of a sudden there's a counter narrative that comes in, and then that goes viral, and then it justifies all the other people. And this came just a couple days ago. This was 4 days ago, June the 1st, where it came in, right? Independent autopsy here. And it's just another example of how it works. And
See this right here, Jeff. This narrative of his of how he of his cause of death is going to play into the rest of the conclusions, the convictions for these cops, and them being acquitted and discharged, and that's going to play into it as well, right here. We're going to see here in the next several days or several weeks.
Yeah, exactly. What was I going to show here? So we got that. I got that out of the way. Oh yeah. Thought maybe you want to talk about the murals here at the Bank of America, which are really creepy. And the one that's in particular that is very interesting right now is this one, which is the middle one. So like if you look at the sort of, it's like a progression.
There's like a little boy. There's like a little boy in this, right?
That's in the third one. The little boy, which people would say is reminiscent of which boy was I thinking of? Now I can't remember. What did we have where we had one of these little boys in the media here recently? I'm drawing a blank right now, but if you can recall it, let me know. But yeah, this particular one at the Bank of America here, which depicts what appears to be chaos. And you got people in hazmat suits. You've got soldiers that are armed. You've got people that look like they're starving, you know, begging for handouts, vagrants, just chaos everywhere. And then you've got this up here in the sun here, the Luciferians doing some sort of sexual sort of, I don't know if this is symbolic. Obviously it's the sun symbolism up here. But yeah, with the net over here coming down, it just like, I think about this one a lot these days because I think, oh, you know, like I was wondering when all this sort of chaos that they have coming would be unleashed. And it's pretty clear that it's happening now. That they are manifesting this one. The third one here is here showing when they've achieved their plan sort of thing, that the work isn't done sort of thing down here, that there still is work to do, but they have achieved their new world order basically. And they've got their little boy here on the Masonic checkerboard, right, with the red here coming through with the one eye symbolism. But one of the things I find interesting about this one, and a lot of people speculate, you got the burning bush, of course, over here with the guy sitting on the grass, right, with the burning bush being a symbol of monotheism and right, the Abrahamic sort of religion, and then the pyramid in the background. But here with the black sun, you've got the staircases going up, of course, with all the Freemasonic symbolism. But I found this one interesting because the woman kind of floating here in the cube, which almost here, I don't know, it might be a bit of a stretch, but it's kind of like the social distancing that we see right now, right? Like a lot of people have speculated about this one for a long time, trying to break it down, what it actually might mean.
Well, the cube in and of itself is pretty evident, but then you can go into some other tangents in as far as interpretation. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is, I think they're from, was this done in the 70s or something like that? It's pretty old, eh? It's like, it's been there for a long time.
It is pretty old. I'm not sure exactly the timeline,
Yeah.
but it's definitely one of the creepiest murals they have, without a doubt. Well, they're all creepy, really, but it's
Yeah, they all are for sure. This is
amazing.
the one though that I refer to. I mean, there's another one here with the people working in the field sort of thing. But yeah, this one I'd say is where we're at right at this moment, kind of thing, where they've created this absolute chaos. And again, with the where is it? The whatchamacallit, the Denver airport murals, they depict that sort of chaos and death, and right, with the guy in that in the gas mask, with the military, with the gun sort of thing and the sword, whoosh, and then all the people dying of what appears to be a plague, right, sort of thing. Do I have that one here? I mean, we all know the Denver airport ones are probably the creepiest murals. This is the one I was referring to here. Again, the rainbow symbolism coming through. Here, open a new tab. There it is. Yeah. And this is what I mean with the so the rainbow, of course, it's the symbol, massive symbol of our controllers here. And the soldier here with the gas mask right now. And you've got a little boy here sleeping with a teddy bear, and he's got bricks, interesting, all around him. And it seems like people are dying here. And then you've got all this death, a woman with a newborn baby that's dead, and all these people that look like they're marching somewhere. It's like a long march, but they look like they're on their way to death, sort of thing. You've got ironically, a dove down here at the tip of the sword. I don't know if the dove is being, I guess that's what it is supposed to be, right? That the dove is being impaled by the sword, sort of thing. Can you see that? Are you still there? It's gone mute for a second. He's probably stepped away.
Okay, I am here. Yeah, I can't see that, Jeff.
You can't? Okay.
I can.
Okay, good. Yeah. So
yeah, it's being the dove, the symbol, the peace, the destruction of peace.
Yeah.
Okay, the United Nations bringing that in, I think, is what that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mean, if I'm not mistaken.
So this is the one that is probably what we're going through, or where we're at, sort of thing, because where it goes is more peaceful as once they depopulate the planet, sort of thing. Right? There's the chaos that they depict in this one here. I'm trying to find a bigger image. Here, is this the biggest one I can find? No, that's small. Here. That one, maybe? No. Hang on a second here. I'll just put them in image tools, size, large. See if we can bring them up here. I don't want somebody in front of it. Yeah, this one here. Let's see if I open image in a new tab. That's not it. That's it. Yeah. So these they took down, by the way, or they've covered them up or something like that. This one, again, is the multiculturalism. And you see the New World Order here as, right. People worship of nature. You've got all the different ethnicities of the world together in harmony. I don't know what the plant is here in the center.
Oh, that's for the plant-based veganism.
Oh yeah, exactly.
No, I don't know.
Nobody's eating the animals. The animals.
Well, that's true. That is true. They are doing that. They are gonna implement that. And of course, we talked about the banning of meat, and eventually, that's what we have to. They're gonna force us to do. We're gonna have to eat plants and bugs.
They got
you've talked about that with Camille quite a bit. So
yeah, exactly. They show nature being preserved. They got the whales jumping out. It's interesting because I just saw this in Montreal. We have a humpback whale that's in our harbor, sort of thing. So he's jumping around doing the exact same thing that these whales are doing, right? But yeah, this is their utopic sort of dream once they've depopulated the planet, the children of the world. There's another one with the children coming together and doing away with all the weapons there. Where is that one? Oh, you have this one here. This is the one I wanted to show, which is pretty creepy, which shows the destruction. Here, let's see, bring that one up here. Yeah. This one shows the destruction here and the animals being preserved in their cases or whatever, and then death sort of thing. I don't know if this one takes place after or something like that or before. It seems like that. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, these things are creepy as fuck, and constantly revisit them to see what might be the clues of what's happening right now. I think this one's pretty telling right now with the gas mask and all that sort of thing. But anyway.
It's like one of those detailed movies you can watch over and over again. You'll catch something new every time. As each event plays out and as time progresses, we always go back to this and pick up something new.
Yeah, that's right.
Go back to these.
This is what it looks like here in the Bank of America. If you were to go, I'll just show you. Open image in a new tab here. Yeah, this is how it looks. I guess this is New York City, Wall Street or whatever, right? And you have the 3 different panels here. And again, it's a transition going from order or chaos, going into chaos here. You have sort of Bolshevik sort of programming of the workers here, and then you have this chaos that is unleashed, and then the order that comes in the third one. I think the third one here, and I think the interpretations kind of thing everyone interprets it differently. These things are specifically done for those in the occult that, it's their secret symbols and signs. So a lot of their signs and symbols have been interpreted over the years, and there's all kinds of varying degrees of interpretation of what these things actually mean. But they are pretty relevant because they show us what's to come, of course. And so, yeah, I just find it kind of creepy because I was thinking about that one. I was thinking mostly the guy in the hazmat suit and, the people starving kind of thing, and the soldiers in the center here, thinking that this is kind of where we're at right at this moment. Like, it reminds me of that, the chaos. And I think up here, I don't know if where did I have that?
Jeff, I wanted to bring that point up with the hazmat suits. It reminds me to maybe remind everyone, that even though most of us believe this Kobe thing is absolute nonsense and it's a non-demic, we know that it's quite possible that in the future, in the later waves or phases, that it may become real in some way, maybe as a result of the vaccine, some sort of mutation from that, in conjunction with the 5G. Who knows? Okay, there's so many ways that can play out, but definitely the vaccine will be a key role in a possible real actual scenario taking place with us getting really actually sick. And so it's important that we keep that in mind, I think, because
check
it's
this
like,
out. Did you hear this?
Yeah.
So you know that Trump ordered 500 million syringes?
Right.
Yeah. Well, today or yesterday came out that Canada ordered 37 million syringes. So
how many did Canada?
How many people in Canada?
No, how many did you say for Canada?
37 million.
Okay.
So I'll just show this to the folks here. I'll put it in. I'll put population of Canada.
They should have just went with 33.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
The population of Canada is 37 million.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So yeah, it kind of makes sense. So Canada inks contract for 37 million syringes. So are we all going to be forced vaccinated? Yeah. No, because some people will fight. This people will resist this, of course. but you may have no a choice. They may.
Oh, you can resist, but you'll live underground eating rat burgers like in Demolition Man.
Yeah, that's
it.
right. Now in
So there's your choice. There's your choice that Trump is presenting you. That's the choice is what he's referring to. Okay, that's your.
I'd
quote,
rather
unquote,
eat.
choice.
I'd rather eat rat burgers than eat bug bars.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
a preferable choice. You know, you have to make.
Tasty squirrel
Not-
bits.
Yeah. Not a preferable situation to have to choose between the two, but I think I may have to agree with you there.
Yeah. So that's what Dershowitz said too. He says, well, if you want, if he says, because when that Jason Goodman guy was asking him about it, he's like, well, you have no constitutional right to resist getting vaccinated. You have no constitutional right not to do all the things that they're going to do. Basically, that you're going to forced to do it all. They're going to be forcibly vaccinated. And yeah, this is clear, folks. There's no doubt about it. We've been covering the vaccines for years, but the whole build up to this and how it played out in Europe. And how did it play out in Europe? Trust me on this. I got sources all over Europe, everywhere. It's not even hidden knowledge. France, Germany, Italy all made mandatory vaccines for everyone. You have no chance to resist it. Trudeau himself, pardon me, was asked on that, and he they said, "Are you going to make it mandatory?" And he said, "Well, we're looking at all our options right now," sort of thing. So he kind of balked at committing to it, but it's pretty clear, folks. They're gonna. It's all about this, and yeah, they have what they want to give us. They've had it for a long time, I imagine. They know exactly what they want to put into us, folks. And all the whole stories is just like the contact tracing stuff, all the stories that they made up about contact tracing, and oh, look at these upstarts, and they're coming up, and these other small corporations are working, and they're coming up with this app, and Germany came up with their own contact tracing app, and Australia, and then there's here in Montreal, they said, oh, the Jewish General Hospital, two entrepreneurs from there came up with this contact tracing app. And it's just, it just happened all over at the same time that Google, and you know what I've been noticing too? I got to show you this. Okay. So let's see if we can find this. We'll put
It's
Google.
just like how the Floyd family hired Dr. Baden, the same autopsy guy for Epstein. It's just like how they hired them on their own accord, from their own mind. They came up with it on their own, for sure.
Yeah.
Please, people, don't think otherwise.
So Google and Apple came up with contact tracing, and this is how they go now. Okay, you see this?
What's up? Yeah, what is?
Black and white. So
I can't see here. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna come in a second. Yeah. So, okay, so when they announced that Google and Apple have implemented contact, because they're doing it together, right? So these two supposedly fierce rivals now have joined forces, and guess what?
Amazing.
All of a sudden, they've gone black and white. Now, another thing I noticed too when I was going through this, so again, black and white with the race wars again as well. You could say a lot of black and white symbolism, right? But I noticed with NBC News here, when I was making dinner the other day, I had this loop playing, right? Because you know how YouTube does, right? They just loop the videos, right? If you don't turn off the autoplay sort of thing. And so I was watching a truther video sort of thing, and then it immediately shifted to NBC News, like immediately. And then that's what it does, right? Like you watch Jeff C, you're not going to be given TM Films as the next that's like the old days, right? Where you go and all our videos would be kind of like connected together, and you'd watch Red Silver Day, and then you watch TM, and you'd be a Free Radio Revolution kind of thing, right? It doesn't work like that. But I noticed that NBC News was doing the exact same thing. That their logo at the end of their videos, it turned black and white. It's not showing here because they have but when they get to the end of their video, they were showing that their logo, which is usually rainbow, now is black and white sort of thing. And you're seeing this more and more. A lot of these corporations coming forth.
Amazing. Nice little subconscious, subtle,
Yeah,
clever switch there.
yeah. It's
Amazing.
yeah, it's all happening, sort of thing. This is it's really bad because look, we're gonna face this, folks. Unfortunately, we're gonna have this moment, not too distant, where they're gonna come to you and you know, of course, it's the military. So think, you know, the whole thing that's happened with Trump setting out the whole National Guard, right? So you have the National Guard now, you have military vehicles in your streets, in your cities. And this has all been set up because, of course, he boasted about how we're going to have the fastest deployment of vaccines you've ever seen, and that we're going to do it at warp speed at the same time that he's releasing his Space Force, of course, right?
But don't worry, you'll still have a choice. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, you still have a choice. When what did Dershowitz say about the choice? He says, "Well, you can refuse it, but then you'll just have to stay in your home for the rest of your life."
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Some choice.
Oh, that's
some choice
nice.
there.
Yeah, that's a real choice there. So you're basically a prisoner forever, in your own home, sort of thing. Which
Yeah, and
again,
it's unbelievable. I got all the MAGA sheep, the Q-tips, all come. But he's, you know, they started putting up their videos and responses. But he said, look, listen again. He said, you'll have a choice. See, like it's unbelievable the mind control, Jeff.
Yep. Yep.
These
That's
people.
it. And this is all happening here. And it's very important for everyone to realize that they're going to play out the saga of trying to find the virus, and they're going to have all these characters, and they'll probably make movies about it. And you know, it's got to look like it's organic. It's got to look like it's, you know, all these different vaccine companies working independently. And somebody comes up with it, watch it come out of Africa or something like that, and they'll be like, oh wow, you know, these people have found a vaccine, and it'll look like it's authentic and all that. But whatever they want to put into all of us, they've had it for a while, folks. They know exactly what they want to do, and this is what it's all about, I believe. And so it's very convenient that the military is in the streets, because it's the military that's going to deliver the vaccines. And it's same here in Rainbow Unicorn Land. We talked about it here in Montreal, how Trudeau brought in the military to take over operations in the old age homes and stuff. And again, it's just getting you used to having military in your streets, getting you comfortable with the idea of just, it's normal, right? There's nothing, right? And again, like historically, this has always been the worst sort of situation for any. This has always been like for the Romans, for instance. That's why the crossing of the Rubicon for Caesar, for instance, was a gross violation of Roman law, because any general that would bring their army in was a threat to the democracy, right? To the democracy, not really a democracy, but the Republic of Rome, for instance, is a direct threat. So the idea of having military in your cities is something to be very concerned about. And then it goes back to Jade Helm, which Jade Helm and Maple Resolve back in 2014, 2015, where they were doing these massive sort of military operations within American cities and Canadian cities. And that was all, like, a lot of people then thought that, well, the FEMA camps are going to be here and we're done, sort of thing. But that's probably all been just preparation and getting them ready for what's to come. And I showed here in Canada how they were doing all these military drills. And in Nova Scotia, it was nuts, because like Nova Scotia, just a few months prior to the shooting that went down, they had frickin' military tanks in those areas that were hit with the shooting. Like they literally had tanks in those little towns. So like Portapique and Windsor and a few of the other towns that were Truro was another one. These are like tiny little places. And it's like the most bizarre thing in the world to think that, like you say, Portapique or Windsor, Nova Scotia has got about 14, or I think it's 1,200 people. So you just think about the smallest little towns you could think of, and the military's doing operations in these little areas, these sleepy little towns. It's like, what? So what is going on, folks? I think that we're gonna face this very soon. Because Trump, of course, saying it's going to be by the end of the year. So what likely is going to play out? Like, I'd say that the whole race riots are a second wave, not a second wave of COVID, but a second wave of just their waves of what they're hitting us with, right? And that what we're going to have leading up. I mean, something else is probably going to happen, something major, while the military and the National Guard still deployed to keep them in place, right? This is what I anticipate going forward. And then, of course, we'll have the next wave of coronavirus, which, again, as you stated, could be real. I mean, there could be a point in time where they actually, maybe with the 5G and everything else being in place, that they can actually start zapping people and start eliminating people. But we could be in a situation where we have this dark winter, and the dark winter symbolism, I don't know if they're talking
And also,
about.
they can drag out the cops, that whole scenario situation to, again, you like you said it earlier, time it perfectly with their other agendas going on, and then just time it perfectly for everything to kind of boil over. Maybe, probably, most likely in time for the election, I would say. You know, and that would be perfect timing as leading up to the election. Everything is just timed.
Election is November, right?
Yeah, November 3rd. So it's just absolutely perfect for them. This election year,
It's
you know,
another
the purge, election.
11. Yeah. Dude, it's another 11-3, eh?
Yeah, I was gonna tell you that, Jeff. I know. So if you look at it, 3/11 was the official pandemic announcement declared.
Yeah.
That's extremely significant. That's not by accident.
No.
And then you have, a reverse, and then 11/3 is the election, which is huge. That's unbelievable. That should open your eyes right there as to the connection there. There's something going on there. That the significance of it is definitely real.
You see all. Yeah, go ahead.
And you have the 3/11 band, which I showed you before, but it's there's definitely a significance in that coding.
No, yeah, absolutely. And 3/11, of course, is 33.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like Bank of America. So
you remember when Rancid Butter there was saying at 11 every day, and he said it 3 times. He goes like, I don't care where you are at 11, whether it's 11 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night or 11 whenever, right? I want you all to get together, and I want you all. This is Dr. Rancid Butar, right? He was encouraging all his followers. I showed this like way back on a live stream, and he was encouraging all his followers to do this this hive mind thing where they all, pray together or something stupid like that, right? I don't know if you ever saw that. It was pretty hilarious.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, I thought that's one you should see, because he was promoting. He was working with a whole bunch of people I'll talk about, and they were promoting Agenda 21 like massively, and they were saying the world is dying and global warming and all that. So they were saying we all need to get together spiritually, and we all need to,
of course, because that's the global citizen agenda.
Yeah,
that's global citizen. All right there. You hear people talking about coming together. Talk about, if you hear language like we don't need borders, any kind of which Batar talks about.
Yeah,
he says.
Yeah. Joe Rogan does the same all the time.
Then they're on board with this New World Order agenda, with the United Nations script there. But I wanted to mention something about I showed in my video, Jeff, about the flag. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I just showed that in my video. How the the largest American waving flag on Earth right? It's in Shibuya.
Yeah, here we go.
I mean, it's in
Shibuya.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
it. I
And
got
it's okay, you got it. And just so happens to have been split in half by the wind, which was going what? How fast? How strong? 66 miles per hour. Like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me? Like, look,
Oh
look.
my god.
Whatever angle you want to come at it with, you want to think it's a supernatural, like it's a supernatural incident or it's staged. It's one or the other. But there's definite significance there. I mean, give me a break.
Oh yeah, and think
Get out of
about
here.
it too, because that reminds me of. Does that remind me of TYT?
That's crazy. Yeah.
So TYT, they they
Yeah.
have the ripped flag as their symbol, which is always all ripped and floating in the background here, the dumb turds sort of thing. So I kind of thought of that when I saw it today. But yeah, so yeah, the biggest American flag.
Biggest American flag, Jeff. No coincidence. No coincidence, Jeff.
Yeah, let's see
I
if we
mean,
can
that's
show it.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's ripped.
Come on, and you know they always signal the splitting of America or the collapse of America. In a lot of ways, they've done this in the past. Like they did this with. People say they might probably did this with Wendy Williams when she was holding she was the Statue of Liberty and she falls. Different things like that. But this is definitely one of the more blatant examples I've ever seen, and it's just to take place right in the midst, at the heart of what's going on with this agenda.
Yeah.
No way. No way.
Okay, so think about this. Okay, so where are we here? I'm gonna get rid of that window here. I'll just put the ripped flag. A ripped flag. I'm sure it'll come up here. The well, maybe if I look here and put time past 24 hours. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so the ripped flag here, and open that up, get it nice and big for you. There you go. That's what they were showing. So this is the biggest American flag. Now think about this: Civil War, right? Because they're divide in two, sort of thing, right? Ripping America apart, the left and the right, which is happening, right? And then you think about this, because like the Marvel comics, which show the whole Civil War, which have the blue versus the red, of course, right? The Captain America versus Iron Man's camp sort of thing, representing the Democrats and the Republicans going at each other. Check this out. You can't make this up. She was the last American to collect Civil War pension. This is from today.
Who was?
This woman here.
I can't see.
Hang on a second. Okay. Hang on a second. Pause on this site here.
Who's this old hag?
Oh, damn! What the hell? So now I've got rid of their ad blocker, and there it is. So so in the news. Now I have to go back. Okay, so I'll just put this in here. I'll go back here on Google. I'll put Civil War, and because just the news from today here. Last American to collect Civil War pension has died. Just today. Last recipient of Civil War pension dies at 90. Then, of course, Virginia governor banishes statue of Civil War General Lee. And a second American Civil War 3 hours ago. Is the United States on the brink of another civil war? Right? So they're building up the Civil War narrative here right now. Just as the flag is ripped by 66 miles an hour, right? Symbolizing that fracture and that
Exactly.
right? And then you just happen ironically to have the same day. And you think, what? Civil War pensioner? The Civil War is like 1864? And there's somebody that was still alive conveniently that just died and was the last pensioner from the Civil War. So
all the script, I guess.
And again, with the I had a listener of mine send me this too. I don't can't remember who it was. So shout out to whoever it was. I can't remember your name at the moment, but somebody sent me on my Patreon that they were removing Civil War statues from their community, and they're doing this. Again, all the statue attacks that have happened with the Antifa, and again, all Civil War, where you've got over and over again Antifa, BLM clashing with MAGA, and the Proud Boys and all their groups, right? And what are they doing? They're going after the icons. So just like this, Virginia governor banishes statue of Civil War General Lee. So General Lee he's like the biggest, probably, like, when it comes to American Civil War. I mean, he's like the biggest sort of icon of the South of Confederacy, right? So like the symbolism of taking down the infamous General Lee, right? Very powerful. Of course, that inflames all the people in the South. And again, the Civil War. Oh yeah, remember that? That the Game of Thrones guys, the two Davids there.
Oh, the two Davids were not allowed to.
Yeah. Those cocksuckers. They were gonna make a show in which I think they're still making it or whatever, but it's all part of the whole programming and divide and conquer, in which the South won the Civil War. And slavery is still happening.
Oh, so kind of like a Tarantino angle of twisting history.
Yes.
In still a propaganda, from still a propaganda lens still, but.
Yep. So you see that divide and conquer and that re-traumatization, and that these icons are always brought forth. Even General Lee himself was supposedly against slavery and stuff like that, but he was like kind of reluctant in the beginning to join the South, but because he was Virginian, he went with the South, sort of thing. But like, so much of the Civil War is such a huge lie, the way that it's depicted, like that all the people in the South were slave owners and they were, racist and all that, when really almost everybody that fought in the Civil War, at least all the grunts and the soldiers, were dirt poor, and they were just poor white people that had no slaves. I mean, it was only the plantations that really had slaves, right? So the plantations were wealthy families, right? There was a very small percentage of the population. So they use all this divide and conquer. So like, if somebody has a Confederate flag, like in the South, for instance, that is considered racism, just having the Confederate flag. But really, that flag doesn't represent racism. It represents something different to these people, right? It's their history, where they come from. It's their patriotism, sort of thing. So all divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer, pushing, again, aggravating. You're going to aggravate all the people on, the Bible Belt people, the Trump supporters, of course. And I mean, like, seriously, there's never been a divide like this ever in United States history. There's never been anything remotely like this. This has all been manufactured, this divide and conquer. Like, they have purposely inserted Trump because he is the ultimate polarizer. Like,
ultimate polarizer, ultimate divide and conquer specialist. And as you say, plays right into the racist narrative by being the racist bigot himself.
Exactly. It's just nuts, man. This is just crazy. So I don't know where this all goes, but of course this all goes back to Ordo ab chaos here, order out of chaos, and their motto of how they bring about their new world order, which of course is through the chaos that they're unleashing. So looks like you got to buckle up, folks, and put your seatbelts on, because we are going into uncharted territory here. There's going to be a lot more of these. There's probably going to be a lot more of these high-profile racial events that are going to happen to feed the fire and push more division as they move forward. I wouldn't be surprised to see black on white extreme cases happening as well, to feed the fans of division on the right side as well. They don't always do it one way. That's very important for people to realize. So I think you're going to see a lot more as it all leads up. And then maybe what we have going forward is chaos and more military, more things being ripped down, more clashes, more violence, and then more military. And then eventually here's the mandatory vaccines. And then you have military at your door. You got no choice kind of thing, right? You got to take the vaccine. And then the vaccine, of course, well, that's going to be probably the way that most of us are going to go. We may not go right away, maybe they put nanotech or whatever in the vaccines and it's activated by the 5G or whatever. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different scenarios, or maybe it's a slow kill. Who really knows? But we know, I think most people know that what's going into these vaccines is very, very scary. And we may not even live to see, a lot of the things that we're seeing that come down the pipe, sort of thing. Like it could be that, going through the next few years is where a lot of people are gonna. It's potential. I don't want to scare people, but I mean, it seems like it just it's getting more and more in that direction. That we're seeing the whole thing manifest at this point in time. So I don't know. I'm pretty concerned. Anyways, is there anything else you wanted to discuss before we close up here, dude? Oh, did he drop out? Yes, he did. There you go. Got him back. Sorry, I didn't catch you.
Yeah, just waiting for you to bring me back in there, buddy. That was perfectly stated as far as I'll just add to that by saying, yeah, it's like they have the storyboard, the script ready to go, the timelines for all these narratives to play out, I think, and perfectly time it to culminate to around the election. And that's definitely how I see that how I see it's playing out, for sure. I think that's how they have it exactly detailed, planned out.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty.
it is concerning seeing all these people, in the streets, all this chaos. It is even more disheartening, discouraging in some sense, Jeff, than even the COVID situation we've been living in here. Seeing all these people be so manipulated, where there's death and pain now in the streets, and them putting their lives on the line now for a lie. It's just another thing that's to deal with, is to witness here with this. And so we just gotta we gotta try to pray and be strong about this, because it's only going to get worse with this manipulation and with this race war, divide and conquer. So
Yeah, then take steps to prepare, stockpile food, weapons.
definitely
Make
prepare as much as you can.
contingency plans. Have bug out bags. I don't know. Like there's only so much you can do, but it's a good time to start making those things if you get the opportunity. It's like we're still kind of locked down here, so but yeah, it might be a good time to get out of the city if you can. Not that you can escape what's coming. You know, it's like I keep thinking of that movie there, No Country for Old Men, where they're saying you can't stop what's coming, right? Like they purposely put that out, sort of thing, like that chaos, which that Shigeru guy kind of represents, right? The chaos is coming and that you can't stop it. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, that
It's his character seems to be an archetype for maybe a Satan demon archetype, I think. Okay, that would make sense. So they do that quite a bit with these characters that play serial killers. They did that with a show called Fargo, just to briefly touch on with Billy Bob Thornton. I don't know if you're familiar, but they made a TV show adaptation.
I never saw the TV, but I saw the movie.
Well, okay, wow. Well, you talk about, of course, when they adapt these TV shows, they just pummel you. They just escalate the satanic narrative and symbolism to the next level. They did that with Billy Bob, who played the hitman assassinate. I guess he was a hitman.
Yeah.
So he played the hitman there, serial killer, murderous hitman. And they had a lot of symbolism with him, and blood and wings, angel, kind of demonic kind of a narrative there with him. And so they do this time and time again. Just that was my point with the characters here. with the serial killers.
Yeah, I think that in the film No Country for Old Men, that's what the sugar represents, which is the chaos, and that you can't stop the chaos that they're unleashing, and that there's, you know, it's coming, sort of thing, right? That they're that's what they're coding in their films. Like, their films never are, you never look on the surface and make the mistake of thinking they're just about whatever, right? They're always so layered and deep. Even their comic book films, even their Marvel films, have way deeper meanings than most people realize, because they put all these things in the films. You know, Thanos and the depopulation, and how, you know, all of that was cheered on by the New York Times.
They made Thanos. They made people. They made depopulation cool with the youth with Thanos.
Yeah. Well, then you have,
you know,
you have the Extinction Rebellion cheering it on, the Burst Strikers, right? You have all the Greta-tards that are abstaining from everything, and trying to bring down capitalism, just along with Antifa. Antifa is all about destruction of capitalism. The Agenda 21 is all about destruction of capitalism. Agenda 21 outlaws private property, right? I mean, like, what they want to accomplish is a complete deconstruction of everything that we cherish. And we're seeing it all happen. Like, it's no longer a conspiracy, folks. It's not conspiratorial to discuss this stuff, because it's actually all happening. We're seeing it all. Like mandatory vaccines. Like, since when? Like, when would the United States be allowed to do that to their own citizens? They have constitutional rights. You have religious exemptions. You have all these different. No, not anymore, because now they have set the table for it, and now it's the military that's going to be doing it, and you're not going to have a choice, or it seems like that's going to be the way it's going. When they're making 500 million plus syringes and 37 million for Canada, I think the writing's on the door that they're expecting everybody to take this vaccine, and that's all the language that's coming forth. And that's only one thing that we have to worry about with everything else, because we already have the economic chaos that they've wiped out, you know, most of, or a huge percentage of, the middle class. And, you know, that's all part of it too, as well, is just making everybody subservient to the state, then pushing everybody into smaller homes, into sewer tubes and whatnot, right? Casita homes and stuff like that they're pushing. And then the whole food change, which is happening rapidly, folks. I mean, all the foods. I mean, look at it. Like, what, you know, every fast food joint has Impossible Burgers and plant-based burgers now. It's all happening. Like, it's like, whoa! It's happened so quickly. It's accelerated so rapidly. I think all of us are surprised at the speed that this is all happening. We all knew this was kind of coming, but the speed that they are coming with. And I think all the clocking, the ticking, and all the different clock symbolism was all about this. I think they were counting this down. And that's why you've seen so much clock symbolism leading up to this, right? Doomsday clock, the time's up, you know, tick-tock, you know, everything featuring the clock. Even Game of Thrones having the big clock in their intros and stuff.
Even the TikTok app itself.
Yeah, which all has that Freemasonic symbolism as well and everything. So yeah, it's rough times, dude.
They're always behind these big apps and the big, you know, social media sites and apps. So that goes par with the course.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. Just want to say thanks very much for coming on, TM. It's always a pleasure to do these shows with you. And maybe you can tell folks where they can find you. I mean, I put your link. I put your backup channel in the description, not your main channel, because that's where you're going to be right now. So I figured that's where you got to get your subs back to, sort of thing. So
oh, no, that's great. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, let people know. I mean, if there's anywhere else they can follow you and stuff.
Yeah. Right now, just this backup, TMF Productions, and then my BitChute, which is linked in my descriptions in my videos currently on this backup channel. So, yeah, Jeff, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's always fun and great to talk to you. And thanks everyone out there listening.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great show. And yeah, give us a thumbs up if you can, and come and support me if you can. My Patreon link's in the description. We're working really hard. This is obviously difficult times. So, you know, stay strong, be the change you want to see. Don't give in to fear, and try to enjoy as much of your life as you can, because we don't know how much time we have, but just at least don't don't be what they want you to be. They want everybody at each other's throats. Try to talk to your neighbors and talk to people out there, plant seeds as much as you can. It's a good time to wake people up because there's a lot of people now that are seeing that this is all unfolding. It's almost undeniable now. So people are going to be a little bit more susceptible to alternative opinions coming in and maybe giving them a different point of view on all the machinations of this new world order. Anyways, you guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for tuning into the show. And yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. You guys take it easy, okay?